good to see a full house tonight. I want to thank everyone for coming out. We are now to the point of our agenda for recognitions. Jamar, would you start us out, please?
Congratulations to our newly certified National Board recertified teachers Nancy Parker and Ann Roth.
Are either one in the audience this evening? Okay, excellent. Okay.
The Stratton Academy for the Arts was recently awarded an American Water Illinois environmental grant to construct a rain garden on its campus. The project is a collaboration between Prairie Rivers Network and other community partners who will help build and maintain the rain garden and implement educational programming for students.
Congratulations to the Unit 4 class of 2014. Our students from Central and Centennial High Schools have earned more than $6 million in scholarships to post-secondary institutions.
This school year, Champaign Schools was awarded more than $1 million in competitive grant funds. These funds have been awarded for programs such as energy efficiency in our schools, new security systems at 5 campuses, continuation of the district's truancy prevention program, and professional development for teachers for the implementation of the next generation science standards. The district continues to actively pursue grant funding opportunities that support student learning and district operations.
Congratulations to Central High School top senior scholar athletes. The top 12 senior students were recognized with a certificate by the Big 12 Conference at an honors day this spring. 9 of the 12 senior scholars participated in Central athletics. 3 of those 9 compete in more than one sport, and 2 are multiple state qualifiers. Congratulations to students Austin Tennis, 4-time state qualifier, sectional champ, Caitlin Baker, competition cheer and track, 3-time state qualifier, Emily Engelbich Wiggins, soccer, Abby Mancester, soccer, Naylan O'Brien, cross country and track, Haley Plattner, swimming and soccer, Olivia Renee, swimming, Jennifer Sola, softball, and Clarissa Stanhope, tennis.
Can I just mention too, Karis, that all of those students had nothing less than a 4.6 GPA while also participating in sports. Congratulations to Central graduate Ian Gidcombe and Centennial graduate, oh, this is a tough one, Yedidia, thank you very much, Hubbard, who were recently featured in the News Gazette as outstanding members of the class of 2014.
The Celebrity Server and Chef fundraiser at Mary Ann's Diner raised more than $6,000 for the Summer Youth Employment Program. The Summer Youth Employment Program provides job training and career exploration opportunities to youth in Champaign Unit 4 schools through the completion of a 6-week job placement program with local businesses. Currently, in its 4th year, Summer Youth Employment Program works with over 70 local businesses and will serve approximately 150 students this year. The program is a collaborative effort between the City of Champaign and Champaign Unit 4 School District.
Kenwood Elementary School recently hosted a tech fair. This year, Kenwood has adopted a new focus on computational thinking. The tech fair allowed kindergarten through 5th grade students to show off their coding, digital media, and problem-solving skills developed throughout the school year.
Students at Franklin Middle School and around the district were recently featured at Purposed Live, a live musical event coordinated by Lead for Life founder Jave Wright. The evening featured live music and student stories to inspire audience members to pursue their dreams.
Community Relations Coordinator Stephanie Stewart recently presented at the Large Unit District Association, LUDA, Spring Symposium about the district's social media initiatives and #AskUnit4 Twitter chats.
Centennial student Benjamin Kachurian, forgive me, Benjamin, recently released his 2nd full-length album. All profits from the album will benefit the Centennial Dance Marathon, which contributes its proceeds to the Children's Miracle Network. Thanks, Benjamin.
Okay, excellent. Thank you all. I have, it's now time for public comment. I have 2 cards. I have another one coming. So what I'll go ahead and do is once I read your name, if you would step up to the mic, speak to the mic, You have 3 minutes. Lynn Stuckey, who is our parliamentarian, will let you know when your 3 minutes is up. Yes?
Were we going to change?
I can't hear you.
During the SRO discussion, were we going to change the way we do?
Would you like to make a
discussion?
motion to do that?
Well, I guess I will.
Okay.
I'm typically in this type of meeting, we don't have discussion except at the beginning of the meeting. I move that for this meeting, during the SRO discussion, that we do accept public comment at that time on that topic.
Very good. Second?
So moved.
All right, so Shalafu and Brown?
Yes.
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 Okay, and it passes 6-0. So what I will do is give you the option to speak now, or actually you can speak twice, I suppose. Reverend Aldous Underwood, would you like to speak? Wait. Okay. And Sheila, are you speak now, or would you prefer to wait? Now? Okay.
My name's Sheila Prine, and I live at 803 South Elm Boulevard in Champaign. And I'd like to shine a spotlight on a Unifor program that some of you may not know very well. My son exited this program a few weeks ago. By law, special education students who are more severely impacted and have unmet needs are entitled to attend a transition program until the day before their 22nd birthday. The functional life skills program in this district is called the Young Adult Program. It's a community program, and their base is a modular building in the Family Information Center parking lot. The teachers, support staff, and students use this building for teaching and learning the skills necessary to go out into the community, like planning trips to ride the MTD, buying groceries, other shopping, eating out, going to the bank, and being involved in rec leisure activities. Then they're out in the community doing these things, especially learning time and money management. In addition, the students learn chores and work as a team to keep up the house. Most of the students have internships or volunteer in the community. And one goal for the students is to leave the program with a paying job. This is so important since Illinois is 48th in the nation for providing the services and supports needed for people with developmental disabilities. I'm here this evening to let you know that my son, who is minimally verbal and has low cognitive skills, is working 20 hours a week at Planet Fitness and paying taxes. He has had many internships in the community. His vocational coordinator looked for a work environment that would suit my son and also benefit the company, and they carved out a job for him. With on-the-job training and visual supports, my son has learned his job well and requires no employment support now that he is out of school. He is a valued employee who can be relied upon to be on time, not goof off, and work hard throughout his shift. He's received a nice raise already, an Employee of the Month, within the first 3 months on the job. So I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate the work of the autism team, the young adult program staff, the special education administrators, and especially Michael Crossan, his vocational coordinator, who believed in him and worked so hard to find him a job that was a good fit. How great it is to have our children happy to go off to work each day. What a boost to their self-esteem. And in my son's case, he is showing the community that people with special needs can be great workers in the community. Thank you for your time.
Sheila, thanks for coming forward and sharing your story. It is, and kudos to the people at District 4 that have worked with your son, Sheila, and God bless him. 20 hours a week. Awesome. Any other public comments before we move on? Yes, ma'am. Did you want to speak now? Yes, ma'am, please.
Since I just came tonight as a sacrifice, I didn't get an opportunity to change. We had death in our family. My nephew, sudden death, and I just left the funeral, and I won't be able to stay. But I thought it that it is important for me to come since there were some people who sacrificed to give me their opinions as a result of my radio program on yesterday. And I'm going to give these initial comments tonight. Hopefully there will be more comments. Are we televised tonight?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Good, because I hope that they will see me and have the courage to email and get information to the Board of Education. Can they see me?
Yes, ma'am, they can.
Good. And let their
They can see
opinions
you
be
and-
known before the 30th when the vote will be taking place. Hopefully they will go, I think it's Channel 5, and make sure they look and take notice of the presentation on tonight and go get a hard copy if there's a problem with the digital divide and they don't have a computer, so they can go online or whatever to take a look at it. Maybe go to the Mellon Building and try to get a copy of the presentation. Some of the comments is that hopefully that they'll take on the U of I model and possibly have a security department rather than the in-house, have the SROs or the school resource officers, some of the comments. Also the authority and the law, the requirements are records, because the police are sworn to do that, even if they are SROs in the schools. Other comments are those like anti-school to prison pipelines, which they are against, and that matriculation. Additionally, there should have been a need to expand the task force so that there could have been alternatives. And I think there was 30 minutes. So I've given these comments for me, Reverend Dr. Evelyn Underwood. Hopefully there will be other comments coming from parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Champaign parents.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak at this time? Do we have a comment card for her to fill out? Yes. Oh, thank you. Very good. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Hattie Falk, and I am a grandparent with children in Unit 4 schools in the first grade going into the second grade, and they're African-American young boys. One of the things that I'm concerned with SROs done away with the consent decree. He had mentioned in there that he would expect the school district continue in good faith. When I read the paper yesterday as to what the resource officers saying that they had an increase, it really concerns me that you have that increase and the amount of African-American children that are being arrested. And I know you're looking at those things, but that should alarm you that they would have, we only have, I think it's like 32 or 35% African-Americans who are in the school district, yet you've got 43, I think it was 43 African-Americans that were arrested. The other thing that I'm really concerned about is when we're talking about money, if there's an accident in the school where that a child or an adult is hurt or injured, who's going to be responsible for it? With you guys employing the SROs, you're going to be responsible. So therefore, it could leave you open to litigation as well. If, in fact, the SROs are part of the police department, if you call 911, there is not going to be a charge or where that you guys are going to be charged for that. But the money that you're going to be paying out. One of the things that really bothers me is that you're in education, and one of the things that educators do, I see you spending money on SROs when we need to be spending the money on our children and their education, especially when I look at the ISAT scoring. that's across the district. It's been cited that Champaign Police Department, Urbana Police Department have the highest rate of racial profiling in the state of Illinois. Then we look at what is going on within the school, where you have the highest percentage of African Americans that are going into the system where the SROs are arresting them. And as Dr. Underwood said, we've got a pipeline going. My question would be, why do we need, it must mean 30 seconds, why do we need the principal? Why do we need the other people in the school principal, your counselors? Why would you need them if, in fact, the SROs are going to make the decision whether you agree with it or not? They're making the decisions for you. So what is the point in having administrators if, in fact, the SROs are going to make the decision as to what's going to happen to children? I will stop, and I hope that you all take those into consideration.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, public comments? Okay, ladies, I hope you are able to stick around because I think we will be having some of that conversation here tonight and addressing some of those things that have been mentioned. Communications, CFT. Thank you. Communications from CESP. Thank you. Communications from PTA Council. And communications from board members. Len.
Last weekend, I had the opportunity to go over to the Urbana Free Library, and if you go up to the second floor in the genealogy department, they have the Sanborn fire maps there. And I don't think most people are familiar with those, but Sanborn is a company that literally comes into every city and town throughout the United States, and not only do they map the streets, but they map what's on the street. Is it a house? Is it a business? Is it a vacant lot? And that's a very interesting document. It's a bound book, actually. It's very large, probably almost 2 feet by 2 feet. But that's a very interesting document to sit down and look through. In 1924, this area right here had no Sanborn fire map. This was not part of the city of Champaign. The houses here were not covered by the Champaign Fire Department. When you start going north into, quote, the city, there isn't a lot of development north of Bradley Avenue. There isn't a lot of development very far west of McKinley. And even at McKinley, there's still a good area that has a lot of vacant lots. Now, there were an amazing number of grain elevators here in this town. If you look at some of the other things, there apparently was a Roman Catholic church called St. John's near the intersection of Logan and Locust in Champaign. I didn't even know that. I drove by on my way home from the library, and that's now a parking lot. But at the intersection of 4th and University, St. Peter's Church, which is now south of Westview School, in 1924, that church occupied the corner of 4th and University. At the corner of 3rd and University, you had St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church, which is now at the intersection of Madison John. So this town has grown a lot in the last 90 years. What we see in certain places now has not always existed in those places. It's very possibly moved from another place within town. And, you know, what's here now may not be here in 50 years. So please think about that.
Thank you, Lynn. Anyone else?
First off, just go off and say we just finished up with graduations last week, and they definitely went off very successfully. I actually attended almost all the graduations for our area, Centennial Central, Novak Academy, Ready, and Urbana Adult Ed. And the one at Ready definitely was, it was the first time I've ever gone to the Ready graduation, but it was a good experience for me to see, because usually when we talk about Ready in this setting, we're usually, in the words that they use, we're usually referring kids over to Ready. And so it was very interesting to see that once those kids got there in certain settings, that some of these kids that I remember seeing come across our desk became the most improved student, or the most likely to succeed student for me. And so that was definitely an eye-opening experience, because there was one in particular, like I personally remember that story, and it's like, this is that same kid. And so it did put a different light on the situation that's going over at Ready, and how and what's really going on over there. Now, with that said, I still don't want to continue to refer kids over to Ready in that sense, but and so it's not that I'm going to just continue to pick up and send any kids over there. But it was definitely good to see that some kids are definitely thriving and making it happen over there at Ready. It was really good for me to see, being on this side of the fence where we are in the position to refer kids over there. The second piece that I definitely wanted to get in is last Thursday there was a newspaper article that was written about, obviously what we're talking about tonight, the SRO officer debate. And I just want to clear up that it was definitely a misrepresentation of where I stood in this article. There was a 21-second clip that put me in the light that I was basically wholeheartedly against SRO officers, or definitely in favor of going the security guard route. I had a 10-minute and 9-second conversation, because I went back and checked. And the majority of that conversation was not at all against the SRO program. It was not about ending the program. It was very much with me in, first and foremost, talking about and saying that we have a very collaborative relationship with the police department now, that we're working very well with the chief of police, Anthony Cobb, and Deputy Chief Troy Daniels, and that's going well. And it's giving the district and the police department more clarity, and we're clearing up a lot of things in this program. And that's what a lot of it was for. It also told that there is a need to have someone in our district to do this. But I also talked about that in our district, there was, as of last year, there was a group of community members and segments of our community that have concerns in our district about the SRO program. And with us being at-large board members, we serve the entire city, not just segments of the city. And so if there's a concern, we will look at that concern. We will, and whatever it takes, and do our due diligence. And like we were going to be doing tonight, we put a committee together to look that over, and then they will be giving us their recommendations tonight, because obviously everybody doesn't feel the same way about it. And so we're here to look at every single option. Because I'd also saw some of the people ask me, why are we even looking at this? Why are we even thinking about this at all? And that's our job. Our job is to look into the concerns of our constituents. And I put in the light of the Central site. Put that in the light of the Central site, where we've purchased land north. People in our community think Spalding may be a better fit. It's our job to look into that, because a segment of our community wants that. And so we're going to treat everything that comes to us with that same deal of care. And so I really wanted to clear that up, because I didn't like that 21-second clip, and it just left it at that. And I wanted to make it very clear that I'm very much into looking at both sides of this, because I sit on both sides of this as a community member, and then also as a school board member. And so I am looking into both sides of this, and whatever decision is made on the 30th will be a decision made from me sitting and looking at this from both sides of the fence and talking to our entire community, not just certain segments. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamar. Any other comments from board members? No? All right. We are now going to move on to informational items, upcoming events. I'll start us off. June 12th, Promises Made, Promises Kept Committee meeting will be held at the Mellon Building from 6:30 to 8:30.
I'm doing the side one here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. June 13th, Spalding Park Neighborhood Meeting, 5 p.m., 7 p.m., Franklin Middle School.
June 17th, community meeting at Central High School, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
June 30th, special board meeting, 6 p.m.
July 14th, regular board meeting, 6 p.m.
July 28th, special board meeting, 6 p.m.
And August 11th, regular board meeting at 6 p.m. here at Mellon. Now we're on to action items. First item, administrative appointment, Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, Mr. Kleber.
Good evening. The vacancy for the position of Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning was recently announced. It was advertised on the district website and other recruiting websites. 4 candidates were interviewed for the position by a team of district administration and staff. I'm going to ask this gentleman to stand. Mr. Jamie Roundtree was selected as the most outstanding candidate. Mr. Roundtree has served as principal of Barksdall Elementary since July 2012. Prior to this assignment, Mr. Roundtree served as assistant principal of Bottenfield Elementary from August 2010 through June 2012. Mr. Roundtree began his career in education as a 5th grade teacher at Southside Elementary in August 2005. Mr. Roundtree earned his Bachelor of History from the U of I in 1998, his Master of Elementary Education in 2005, and his Master of Educational Organization and Leadership in 2010, both from the U of I. He has been accepted into the doctoral program at the U of I starting this fall. And we are recommending Mr. Roundtree be appointed effective July 1.
Excellent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Brown and Stuckey. Any questions or comments? Tammy, call the roll, please.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Ms. Shalfo?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Sager?
Yes.
And it passes 6-0. Congratulations.
You want to come up, Jamie, and say anything?
Just want to say thank you. I'm excited about this opportunity, looking forward to it. I will miss Barksdall, but I'm very excited to serve the district in a new capacity. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jamie.
So can I say now that the votes happen, I really struggle with this one. Not because I don't like you, but I really, really hate to see you lead the schools. I really hate to see you lead the schools. But I know that you'll do well in this position as well. But if you ever want to go back to the schools, just let us know.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Next item, administrative appointment, interim principal at Barksdall. Ken.
So obviously, Mr. Roundtree's appointment has created a vacancy. And Barksdall is a balanced calendar building. And district administration is recommending that Mr. Peter Furch be appointed as interim principal of Barksdall for the 14-15 school year. Mr. Furch, are you here? Can you stand up? Mr. Furch has served as the assistant principal of Barksdall since July 2012. Mr. Furch began his teaching career as a 5th grade teacher at Barksdall. Mr. Furch holds a bachelor's degree in elementary education from the U of I. He earned his Master of Educational Organization and Leadership from the U of I in 2010. And we are recommending Mr. Furch's appointment effective July 1.
Excellent. Do you have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Shalfo and Stuckey. Questions or comments? Tammy, call the roll, please.
Ms. Shalfo?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Sager?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Welcome and congratulations.
I got some big shoes to fill with Mr. Roundtree leaving, but I'm very excited, and it's an honor and privilege to continue the success and progress over at Barksdall School. I know our staff and our teachers and our family are really excited to move forward too. So thank you.
Excellent. Welcome. Next item, administrative appointment, interim principal at Booker T. Washington. Mr. Cleaver.
The position of principal at Booker T. Washington STEM Academy is currently vacant due to the board-approved leave of absence of current Washington principal Asia Fuller Hamilton for the 14-15 school year. And district administration is recommending that Ms. Krista Finkley, Krista, stand up, be appointed as the interim principal of Washington STEM Academy for the 14-15 school year. Ms. Finkley currently serves BTW as the Magnet Teaching Specialist. She's held this position since January. Ms. Finkley's prior administrative experience includes serving 6 months as a principal at Imperial Estates Elementary with Brevard Public Schools in Florida before relocating with her family back to Illinois. Prior to relocating to Florida, she served as principal of Dewey Elementary with Quincy Public Schools in Quincy, Illinois for 3 years, and as assistant principal of curriculum and instruction with Quincy Public Schools for 1 year. Ms. Finkley has also worked as an elementary teacher for 10 years. Ms. Finkley holds a bachelor's in elementary education from Indiana University. She earned her Master of Education Administration degree from William Woods University in 2009. And we are recommending appointment of Ms. Finkley starting July 1st.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey and Lee. Questions, comments? Tammy, call the roll, please.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. Welcome.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm super excited to get started. It's been a privilege to be there for a couple months to kind of get to know the kids and the families and the teachers, and I've just been blown away. The kids are beyond phenomenal. The families are wonderful. The staff is just top-notch. So it's going to be a great year, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you. Next item, administrative appointment, interim principal at Edison Middle School. Mr. Cleaver.
The principal of Edison Middle School has recently become vacant due to the current principal, Justin Uppinghouse, relocating out of state. As a result, district administration is recommending the appointment of Mr. Tony Howard to the position of interim principal of Edison Middle School for the 14-15 school year. Stand up, Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard is currently serving Unit 4 schools as the associate principal of Edison Middle School. He has held that position since August 2013. Prior to that assignment, Mr. Howard was the assistant principal at Edison from October 2010 through June 2014. Mr. Howard joined Unit 4 schools as a science teacher at Edison Middle School in 2006. Mr. Howard received his Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education from Millikan in 2005 and his Master in Educational Administration from Eastern Illinois in 2009. And we are recommending the appointment of Mr. Howard effective July 1.
Excellent. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, my God, I have a third. Brown and Shalafu and Karis thirds. Any questions or comments? All right, Tammy.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Shalfo?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Savoy?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Congratulations. Come on up.
I just truly want to say it's an honor to serve in this capacity. This will be my 9th year at Edison Middle School, and I'm a bit upset that Justin's departing on us, but he have to make better opportunities for his family. And I'm happy to see some of our teachers out here to show support, and hopefully we can carry on tradition. And thanks so much.
Excellent. Welcome. Good job. And Mr. Kleber, administrative appointment, administrator of Novak Academy.
The position of administrator of Novak Academy was recently announced. 3 candidates were interviewed for the position by a team of district administration, certified staff, community members, and Novak students. Mr. Tony Maltbia was selected as the most outstanding candidate. Stand up, Mr. Maltbia. Mr. Maltbia currently serves Unit 4 schools as an interim assistant principal at Centennial High School. He has held this position since September 2013. Prior to this assignment, Mr. Maltbia served Unit 4 as a special education teacher at Centennial High School for 4 years and as a dean of students at Columbia and Central High School for 1 year. Outside administrative experience includes director of Sikeston Career and Technical Center in Sikeston, Missouri for 1 year, principal of Cairo Junior Senior High School for 2 years, and director instructor for New Madrid County R1 Alternative School in New Madrid, Missouri for 2 years. Mr. Maltbia holds a bachelor's degree in education from Southeast Missouri State University, a Master of Arts in Special Education from Oakland City University in Indiana, and a Master of Administration in Educational Leadership from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. And we are recommending Mr. Maltbia's appointment effective, you guessed it, July 1st.
Excellent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Brown and Safely. Any questions or comments? Tammy, call the roll, please.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Savoy?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Ms. Shalfo?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
It passes 6-0. Congratulations and welcome.
Hi, I'm very honored and excited about this opportunity. It's bittersweet. I have to leave a place that I've been at for 4 years. Had incredible mentorship. Teaching staff has always been very supportive, and I'm leaving behind the 2 most important people in my life, which is my wife and my son. But I'm very excited about this opportunity, and I thank you guys.
Thank you. We have a lot of great talent in our school and our teachers and staff, and I just want to thank all of you for stepping up to the plate when asked to make a change for the betterment of our schools. Next item, reports new business, Parent Advocacy Committee update. Dr. Wiegand.
Yes, at this point, I would like to have Mr. Tony Howard come forward, and he's going to give us an update on the work that's been taking place with the Parent Advocacy Committee. So, Mr. Howard?
Good evening, everyone. Today I will be giving a brief update on the Parent Advocacy Committee work. Along with me, I have Ms. Carol Wood from the RTI, coordinator in the district, and Ms. Tamika Whitfield, 7th grade math teacher and avid teacher and a committee member as well. First, I'll go out. Can everyone hear me? First, I'll go about giving a definition of the parent advocacy piece and what came about.
Tony, could you speak in the mic
Sure.
so we make sure other people that
Can everyone hear me now?
Thank you.
All right. First, I'll give a brief update on the definition of how this came about, which was providing resources and strengthening the communication and empowering parents, giving voice and honoring diversity. After getting a bunch of information from a wide range of people, these were some of the things that we vowed to try to improve on. The desired reality was standard and systemic response for dealing with parent complaints across schools, the systemic approach to informing and explaining to parents how and why certain decisions are made regarding their students' education, an approach to engaging and empowering parents to be part of the discussion when decisions are made, and providing parents with a list of district resources and who they can contact over different areas while connecting parents with each other and ultimately strengthening the culture of trust within the district and the community. After a year and a half of work and moving in a few directions, we got back together and actually got some experts in the building, and we actually reached out to Meryl Sifkin and the Parent Educator Partnership and a few other people that actually Mark Shagnai and Carol and a few other people had on around in their network. And we decided that maybe by the end of April 2015, we want to have 2 to 3 more district-wide welcoming events outside of the community events that Dr. Wiegand currently holds to try to get these parents to create a more welcoming environment, because they're always saying when we come into schools, some of us feel welcome, others don't. So we want to ensure that everyone that enter our schools at Unit 4 have an opportunity to feel welcome and feel like they belong there. And for the Parent Advocacy Committee to represent and engage in a variety of stakeholders relevant to the topic. Currently, right now, we're in the process of actually getting more parents. We have about four parents on the committee, but to truly have a Parent Advocacy Committee, I feel like we should have majority parents versus more district employees as well. Now we'll have Tamika Whitfield speak about a few topics.
Good evening, thank you. May 1st, May 2nd, can you all hear me? May 1st and May 2nd, I attended the Parent 101 training in Bloomington, Illinois, and so it was a lot of important information that I learned in that meeting during that conference. And this slide stuck out, and it's very important. Family engagement is school improvement. Did you know, according to research, Ron Ferguson, home and family factors account for 49% of influence on student performance? Parent engagement, 8 essential elements tied to Rising Star community and family engagement, Illinois' 5 essential survey involved families, and the Danielson Framework community with families. Now this slide right here is very important because these are 3 initiatives, new initiatives that's in the district and we're currently working on, and I was part of the Rising Star as part of my internship underneath Mr. Uppenhouse. So going through that and tying it in with the Illinois' 5 essential survey, I am very excited to get started with this, and especially being a teacher, tying it in with Danielson framework, with communicating more with families, because all 3 of them are tied together, and if we're doing the family and parent engagement correctly and to increase that, then we'll be hitting all 3 of these areas, which is very important in improving student achievement. Parents as partners. Whose responsibility is the success of each child? All of us. How should parents be engaged? Do parents have the skills and knowledge to be engaged? That is an important question. That last one, all three of them is important, but I think the last one is really important because some parents do not know how to be engaged. And some of us as educators do not understand or know how to reach out to certain parents. And so this is where I think I'll be a vital part of this, coming in and being to go out and reach to the ones that don't necessarily come in, because those are our students that we need to reach the most, because those are the students that I'm part of the Discipline Equity Advisory Committee, and those are the students that are struggling with the discipline numbers. Those are our students that are not passing our standardized tests and exams. Those are our students that I'm pushing in AVID to increase them to be in honors classes and so forth. So we need to help those parents come in, whatever skill set they have, and meet them where they're at to help them increase student achievement.
Hello, again, I'm Carol Wood, and I've been serving in the district as the RTI coordinator and for the past 2 years. And part of being a partner with the RTI network, which is a state initiative.
Carol, can you explain what RTI stands for?
Sure. Response to intervention. So it's been a framework that our schools use to help identify what students need extra support, be it academic or behavioral.
Thanks.
And so I've been working with schools to try and look at their system for that. And part of my partnership with the RTI network, I've had the opportunity to also attend the training that Tamika mentioned in December. Actually, I took a parent, many of you know Kelly Hill, and it's a great 2-day training that helps parents understand some of the things Tamika was just talking about, how they can be engaged and what they need to know, how they, that they're very capable to help their students. So, this slide speaks to that partnership and how it begins with that mindset that believes that all families have those strengths and can contribute, can learn to help, and have ideas and insights. Who knows their children best, really, and care deeply. All of us care deeply about their children. As Tony mentioned, the person that actually does this 2-day training, Merle Stiefkin, who's part of this parent-educator partnership, which is through the state. That is what he does full-time, is work with districts to support them in their efforts to try and engage more families. The other 2 bullets, I think, are things before I joined this committee. They've been trying to get some with the U of I. Is that right?
Yes. We have trying to put together a survey, and Mr. Howard has a contact at the U of I where their social work interns are going to go out because, again, some of these parents don't come into the district, so we're going to go to them by way of going out in the community and network and just going door to door and walking the neighborhoods to get these surveys completed, and so they have agreed to help us. The last bullet, the Department of Human Services Public Aid, that was an initiative that I had an idea, and so I presented it to the committee, and Mr. Shagnon, also a committee member, he helped me with this. So what I did, I made contact with Ms. Tammy Evelyn at the Department of Human Services, because as a former public aid welfare recipient and being in college and a single parent, I knew that in order to get your 10F check, you had to have like 20 hours of community service. So I said, could we have those parents come in and do community service and be part of their child's learning environment, would be at the school, Columbia, FIC, do something to help our school district and get those hours so they can receive those services, because that is their money that they're living off every month. So It took me about 2 months to get this going, to even just to talk to somebody at Department of Human Services. But again, those of you all know me, I'm going to keep pushing until I get it. So I finally did get it and made contact and had a meeting with her, and I spoke with her. So she gave me the application, and so then I contacted Mr. Chagnon, and I gave him the application, which he gave the application to Mr. Lockman, and I understand he's very, very busy right now, and he just haven't had the opportunity to get back with us, but I know he will, and I know he believes in this as well via way of Mr. Chagnon. So we're just waiting to see what happened, and hopefully Edison will be one of those pilot schools that we can get this started with, and I'm willing to volunteer to help supervise this to make sure it runs well.
This goes along with the earlier slide that showed 49% just schools that succeed in engaging families from diverse backgrounds share these key practices, building that trust, recognizing respect, and addressing needs, and having that philosophy of partnership where power and responsibility are shared. And part of the 2-day training that I attended in December, a lot of time is built in for action planning, and so Kelly Hill and I, we brainstormed some things, and we talked a lot about, having parents be part of problem solving within our schools, and being part of the RTI, that system piece where we're looking at data and looking at how to support our students. How could we have parents be part of that? And this was something, I wish Kelly was here to share, but she was wondering, as a PTA president at numerous buildings, how could she engage families within that building to support our efforts with our struggling kiddos? And another big piece that we talked a lot about was just that welcoming factor, making sure our buildings are welcoming, making sure that parents know where things are, where to buzz to get in the building, those kinds of things. So we really want to rethink that partnership and how we reach out to parents who are not like us. I think Tamika touched on that as well. That's part of what we really want to go into the communities and do.
For the sake of time, I'll try to speed it up a little bit as well. Like as Carol said, we just want to try to strengthen those relationships and make sure everybody have equal opportunity when they come into our school, because one of the things they say at Edison, we don't know where to enter, and we want to make that a more user-friendly place and make sure everybody's accessible, have the same access as well. Social assets. What are the assets family can share with schools to improve student outcomes? That's just a question I want everybody to kind of think about, and when we come back and kind of share with you guys, I would like to see, for the sake of time right now and in the future, to kind of see what do you guys really believe that families bring to the table. I know we all believe that it's something different, but yes, that's something to kind of think about. And barriers to engaging families. Just the lack of knowledge, as Tamika spoke about. It's the importance of family engagement, lack of confidence and skill to work with families, whether it's attending registration, PTSA meetings. We want to bridge that gap because it is one, and we have to own up to it and do better. And lack of time and unwelcoming venues has been one of the biggest pieces that parents have shared with us. So as a district and as a community, we have to do a better job of making sure everybody feels welcome when they come out to the events. And remove the barriers by building knowledge around there. That's not my slide. Okay. Building knowledge around the roles of parents, developing skills to equal partners, providing quality time to partners, and creating welcome environments. That welcome environment piece is constantly popping up, so I think we really need to focus on that as one of the key components of this initiative. And this is just one of the frameworks, which I'll have online for you guys if anybody's interested in, how we're going to go about and trying to develop something that's more systematic and makes more sense and a bit more cohesive for the future. And questions. I know time is very limited, but we also would like to make a suggestion versus a question to the board and see if we can have someone from the board actually attend some meetings and kind of extend that support. We had Carrie Lee come to a meeting before, but we seriously, on a consistent basis, we would like to see the support of the board at some of our meetings, if that's not asking for too much.
That's not asking for too much, Tony. Who would like to do that?
We would like you.
I would love to be there. I will. Tell you what, so it's LoriBonnet@gmail.com.
Okay.
Send me the information. How can I say no in front of this group, right?
Okay.
Bam. All right, then.
All right, that concludes our presentation. Thanks for your time, and sorry for going over.
I had some questions.
Okay, go back, rewind.
Yeah. So, Tony, when do you expect to have this starting? So,
Which part of it? Are the
well,
meetings for the upcoming year?
to invite parents to come and be a part of this, because I think anybody that has been in the schools, teachers, PTA, they're always wondering, how do we get more parents involved?
We're going to
So-
try to hit, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We're going to try to hit registration and transition day where parents are actually coming in. That's why we're focusing on 2 to 3 schools that have a pretty systematic schedule when these events are occurring, so we can be able to have computers there, have that survey there, have iPads, Chromebooks, and let them answer the questions. And then at the end of the survey, it'll ask, will you be willing to serve? So that'll be one of the strategies that we'll try, and we're open to any ideas you guys have as well.
Also, Ms. Bonnet, I was thinking maybe you can help me. I have a kickoff idea. Some of the parents are still not going to come in. So Mr. Seifkin said, how about we go to them? Like, get on the school
Take
bus.
the party to them. Love it.
Take the school bus. And this was his idea. And I said, I'll do it if I can get some help. He said, take the school bus and go out and set up a lemonade stand and bring the registration to those parents who cannot come in. Maybe late even, they worked all day, don't have a babysitter. And so we get them in to show them, hey, okay, you all didn't come, so we're going to come to you. So I'm pretty sure I can get some teachers on board, some of my colleagues that's willing to go, and it's on a volunteer basis. So
Absolutely.
what do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I think your time is up now.
Oh, boy.
I have to say, I mean,
Okay.
when you have that kind of enthusiasm and passion for what you do, it is welcoming as a board member to see that, and how can I say no, right? Christine, you had a
I'm
question?
kind of afraid to say anything because I don't know what I'll be doing next. But I do have a question. I've been on PTAs for, I guess 12 years now. And it comes up at every PTA meeting. How do we get more families involved? Is part of what you're going to be doing helping to teach people in the PTAs how to do this? Because
Definitely.
I think the communities out there want to have everyone involved, but don't know how to reach out and don't know how to make it more welcoming and don't know how to do these things so that it really works. And so I really encourage you to really get those PTA people involved and really getting this to really finally work.
That sounds good, and we'll try our best to try to at least reach the PTSA of the few schools that'll be piloting it, and see if we can get Merle back down. He said he'll come down for free anytime we need him and provide the best assistance he could. So.
Okay, great.
Thank you all for your good work.
Well, just one quick one. What Christine just mentioned, that PTA has been trying to get people in for a while, and just how to make that more welcoming. It takes me back to a church service I went to years ago. There was a guy, and he spoke about welcoming environments. And one of the ways he said that you welcome people, he said, having somebody being, you're more than welcome to come over, and being welcoming are two different things. He said, having somebody come over to your home, is the example used, and you offering them dinner, that's inviting. I'm inviting you to my home, you can have dinner, but you're going to have what I have. Being welcoming is calling that individual before the dinner happens and say, what do you like to eat? And then having that food available when you invite them to their house. And so I don't know how PTA, well, I do know, you get the phone list and start calling parents and say, we haven't seen you at a PTA meeting. What would it take to get you there?
I think we have our second volunteer on the committee right here.
No, I just did my work. I just volunteered right now. I just did that. But that's what came to mind when she said that. And so maybe just reaching out to the parents that aren't showing up, just say, hey, are you interested in coming? Some are going to say yes. And exactly, well, why aren't you? What do we need to do?
Okay, well, that's definitely the plan, and we were hoping just as we recruit parents that it would just become contagious and they reach out as personal advocates from our group and say, hey, it's a wonderful thing, join in as well. Mr. Lee?
That also includes mentors, too, for kids as well. Is that within scope? Because I think that'll be a strong avenue as well.
Okay, well, thanks so much, and I know our time's up again. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Tommy, since your name was brought up earlier, did you want to have an opportunity to comment?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next item, Trades and Unit 4 Partnership. Mr. Chagnon.
Tamika, it's hard to follow you. Lori's going to be driving the bus, and Tommy's going to be doing all
You're
legal
in
work.
trouble.
Tonight, it's my privilege to come to before the board to share with you some information about the trades and about our partnership. And behind me right now is Matt Langendorf, who is the president of the East Central Illinois Builders and Construction Trades Council. And I'm going to say a few words first, Matt, and then I'll let you say a few words. About 2.5 years ago, or actually longer than that, Mr. Shagnow was walking into Central High School for parent-teacher conferences and just going into the school to see what was going on. It was a great day, and I saw Alex Ramirez, our teacher, in the shop sifting through wood. I said, Alex, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I'm going through wood and trying to sort it out by length and by size. I said, why are you doing that? He says, well, in order to have enough wood for the kids in our program, I have to go out and dumpster dive in the community. I don't know how you feel about that, but when I got home that night, I didn't sleep real well. And knowing how much I appreciate what we're doing in our career and technical education areas, I swore that night to do something about the industrial technology programs in Champaign. A year later, I had a summit at Champaign Central on August 11th, 2011. And I invited people from the city council. I invited people from our school board, from manufacturing, from the trades. We had about 75 people show up. And it was an outstanding event because we held it in the shop. And this year, 44 years ago, I graduated from that high school, and the same drill press that I used was still there. And so we talked about what we could do. And at the end of that meeting, we walked away saying, who wants to be on an action committee? And I had about 18 people say, I'd like to work on that. Since that day, here are a few things that we've done at Champaign Central to improve our industrial technology program. And I just wanted you to hear this because I think it's pretty powerful. Number one, the shop area is now OSHA certified. It wasn't before. We have now a new $30,000 dust collection system to protect our kids from dust, which we didn't have before. We have a new layout of the equipment and workstations in the shop, which OSHA made us do. We have all new electrical drops for all of our kids to work with. We have signs on every piece of equipment in every area of the shop that read for safety. And the total shop was cleaned out of all the extra things that Champaign Central found to store there. Number two, a total makeover of the second floor computer-aided drafting program. We went into a room that was in disrepair. The blinds were down, old fans were hanging on the walls, and we cleaned it up. We built a wall. John Ayers was so kind to me. He built a wall and put a door in over summer. And now we have a state-of-the-art computer-aided drafting room with 25 brand new computers and top-of-the-line AutoCAD and Rivet software. At the start of the 2011-2012 year, I looked to see how many kids were taking industrial technology who had signed up for it in our district. 293 students had requested to take one of 8 of our classes. By the year 2014-2015, which is coming up, we have 463 students signed up to take industrial technology in this district. We are offering this next fall Welding One technology, which we haven't offered in years. And our teacher, Joe Myers, on his own with some help, has built 8 welding stations. And as we speak, we're putting in a ventilation system for those welding stations so that our kids will be safe and not harmed by bad health while they work. Due to this increase, we have now, instead of 1 full-time industrial technology teacher and a half-time, we now have 2 full-time industrial technology teachers, a half-time, and this next fall, we will start with 2 full-time aides to help our teachers. We have developed a Unit 4 Excel in College program. Dr. Wiegand has been a very motivational person for me in this area because we realize that we have some students that want to do advanced work, and we just don't have the facilities to do that. So what have we done? She helped create an Excel in College program that allows our students to take dual credit classes as juniors and seniors at Parkland College's brand new 67,000 square foot advanced technology center in the areas of construction, industrial technology, automotive, and now we've even added nurses assistance program. So those 4 areas we are now helping our students go to Parkland Community College to take dual credit while they're juniors and seniors. And one of the super stories about that is one of our students just graduated from Centennial with 28 hours of college credit in the industrial service technician program, and Kraft Foods has already promised him a full-time job starting at $50,000 when he graduates from Parkland.
Awesome.
On March 1st, 2012, I sat down with Dan McCall and Bob Withers, and we three came up with an idea. They said, Mark, we have got to start earlier than high school. We can't wait till high school. So we came up with the Builders Club concept, and again, through Dr. Wiegand's leadership, we now have Builders Clubs at all 3 middle schools in our district, which is to inspire our kids to learn about tools, to learn about construction. And at Jefferson was our first place to pilot this, and they actually built a gazebo in the courtyard, and it was all through student work with the guidance of a teacher. And now we have teachers and leaders at both Franklin and Edison to take that up next year and get that going. So I'm really proud of the fact that we're getting our kids familiar earlier than later. I was fortunate back in the day when, Mr. Shagnon's about as old as dirt. I was able to have industrial technology in middle school in the mid-'60s, and our kids today just hadn't had that experience. So it's a thrill for me to see that come back. And that program wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the trades. The trades have put money into this, and they are volunteering their men and women to come out to our schools and to work with our Builders Club kids, be it electricians, be it carpenters, plumbers and pipe fitters, bricklayers. They're working with our kids hand in hand, and it's wonderful. As a result of our meeting, we had a meeting, Dr. Wiegand and I and administrators with the council, with Matt's council back in October, and they looked at us and said, Mark, your counselors have got to learn more about what we do. And we also were concerned that when our apprentices come to us and want to do the apprenticeship program, we don't have a formal pattern, a formal way of getting their transcripts and their attendance records. Could you help us with that? Well, we put together a meeting in March, and we had a tour of 4 different apprenticeship programs. We had all the counselors and the administrators meet for breakfast, and Matt was so kind to organize this with me, and we were able to see and go to locations in the area, the iron workers, the plumbers and pipe fitters, and learn about what they're doing there, learn about what our kids have to do to get ready. So I can't say enough about our partnership. Tom Lockman has been great to put together a forum that now the apprenticeship programs, all 17 can use. When a Champaign Unit 4 student comes to them and says, I'm 18, I want to apply to your apprenticeship program, they simply give them this form and say, you go to your school, you get your transcript, you get your attendance records and bring them back. This form gives us permission to do that. So that student takes this form, gets that information, and brings it back. Now we're on top of it, whereas before they couldn't get that information. So we're doing everything we can to make this the best it can be, but it's been a real pleasure to work with Matt, who is, I think, one of the greatest guys in town as far as trades, because he even came to us and said, Mark, would you guys like to do some advertising at the Assembly Hall during basketball games? Stephanie and I looked at him and said, well, what do we got to pay for it? And he goes, we'll take care of it. We want to show the people at the Assembly Hall that we have a partnership with you. So I'm going to shut up and let Matt say a few words.
Thanks, Mark. My name is Matt Langendorf, and the first thing I really need to do is thank Judy Wiegand, Mark, Laura, Matt, Stephanie, the whole staff for being able to grow up and do as well as they have with a traditional education and recognize that there is another way to do it. Most people gravitate toward their own way of life, and that's natural. I understand that. To be able to step outside that and show us the support that you have is so reassuring for those of us in the trade, and I just can't thank you enough. Predictably, Mark was extremely modest about his report. Some of this will seem redundant, but there's an awful lot of details that he left out. He did cover the Illini basketball. We showcased in 2 timeouts the partnership between helping each other learn what the needs are, and then the second one was the ability to partner with new facilities under the project labor agreement, and we were happy to showcase that to the area through the Illini basketball team. And the meeting on March 21st that Mark talked about, it's very important to know that Judy and Laura, along with the principals, administrators, joined those counselors. And when I found out the importance of the date of March 21st, this was the last thing these counselors had to do before they went on spring break. I thought they would have the attendance or the attention span of a 7th grader. They were all free to go at 11. No one left at 11. Everyone stayed extra. They were led, both Judy and Laura came along. They were led by their leaders. Again, thank you so much. My visit to Central Shop was very different than what I had seen in previous trips to what was then a storage unit, Mark. That was it. It had lawnmowers and fans and fan motors, and it was piled. There was no way to have a class in that room. What Joe has done with that shop is phenomenal. I went back to the delegates of our committee and I shared that with them, and I shared the struggles that he's working with under his budget, and what he's done with that budget is phenomenal. We quickly decided we were going to support Joe with $1,000 worth of tools. We ordered 6 grinders from Dave at Illini Contractor Supply, who was happy to order them and charge us his cost, no markup, to extend that budget for Joe. Joe's really doing a phenomenal job with what he's got to work with there, and we're thrilled. We met with an architecture team here in this room on May 21st. We talked about how to best pool the money in this community and not have redundant facilities. Some of these things are dangerous. OSHA is going to play a role. Mark sat there and facilitated that meeting. We got an awful lot done in a short time. I have been in this job, in this position as president, less than 1 year. Quickly, I learned that this man is a freight train rolling. You can get on board or get run over with this guy. I'm on board. I suggest everybody get on board with him. As the cost of traditional college gets harder and harder for many families to reach, these are the kinds of programs with the trades and manufacturing where we can hopefully keep students in your seats, because you don't necessarily have to be headed to the University of Illinois or Purdue to have a productive career in this community. And I just praise the administration for doing that. And I will finish by urging that the board continue to support Dr. Wiggin and her staff in this venture. Thank you.
You got any questions?
I guess I have a couple questions, and I'm sure other board members have comments. So I'm glad to see that you guys have added welding. I understand that is really an area where we don't have enough talent locally, and so good to step that up, and thank you very much, Matt. And I would also echo your sentiments regarding staff and administration, our leadership. They're top notch. There is no box for them. I think as a board we have found that, yeah, we know there's no box. Yeah, sometimes we'd like a box maybe, but thank you very much, Matt, for your participation, and also as a board, what can we do? So when you have nothing and you make something out of it, there's passion and there's willingness and there's a need there. So as a board, we need to hear from you guys what you need from us.
Well, a couple of months ago, I sat down with Laura, and we had a brainstorming session, and she can really brainstorm.
Yeah.
We didn't. Neither one of us committed to anything, but we were just going to throw out ideas, needs, you know.
Right.
And one of the things that I see is that I have 10 welding booths, and maybe every other day they sit empty because of the vast diversity of my trade. So what I know is not only is it difficult on a budget to keep those consumables and the tools available to those as far as upkeep, but you have to turn that air over. You have to turn that air, you have to keep those kids in fresh air. So in a winter like we've had, you have to take that 65-degree air that's polluted with the weld smoke out and turn over that 10 below air that we had all winter. And the initial cost of putting together even a dozen welding booths, even the 8 that Joe did, it's really hard on a budget. And if the trades and Parkland and Unit 4 can continue to partner, I see the community getting the most out of the investment and sharing them together. One of the things that Laura and I have talked about and then shared with Mark is I can bring apprentices and or journeymen that are professional welders and get one-on-one experience for students with a professional welder. When we get advanced in our program, many of them are certified by the time they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th year apprentices. So we take 2 instructors for 8 people in a booth. We divide the number of hours in the day by the 2 instructors. We take the breaks out of there, we take lunch out of there, and then we see how many minutes does a student spend with an instructor. And it's really tough. But if we could assign one or two of my professional welders to a student, to each student, they really are going to get some quality time in the booth.
Thank you. Christine? Mark, thank you. You all have done a great job on this. I remember that meeting at Central, and just talking about how awful that room was and seeing how much it's turned around. One of the things that we had talked about at that meeting was increasing the number of girls taking those classes, and you said we've almost doubled the numbers. Do you know how we've done with getting more girls in?
I should have known you'd ask that, Christine, and I don't know that answer, but I can find out for you.
Okay. And do you know? Oh.
Matt doesn't.
No, I don't.
But he has a comment on it.
No, I don't know.
I'm not surprised.
Watch out.
In the counselors meeting, we had Mark allotted a half hour for Q&A, presentations. Let's get to know each other a little bit. After an hour, Mark has to call timeout and say, we're already behind schedule and we haven't seen a training facility yet. We've got to move on. But we had a real frank and real honest, open conversation about the trades, lack of minorities and lack of females. And to be real truthful with you and the crowd, we know what schools are currently very good at providing people to us. They're Monticello, they're Villa Grove, there's a few others. And when we do trade fairs and these kids step into a shop or a welding booth, they know their way around a toolbox. They know how to hold an arc. They know how to start a torch. They're a tremendous resource to us. The problem is, predominantly, those kids that come out of that school look just like me. My minority-dense schools, until this guy dug his teeth in, weren't preparing their students for the opportunities that we provide. And now we're really looking forward to opening up a huge resource within the Champaign and Urbana schools for students that a lot of kids, when I was in school, there was a lot of us that went through school looking for PE and shop. It keeps a lot of kids going to school. It's a reason to be there. Well, my teachers flat told me in those areas, you better be learning your Spanish. You better be learning your math. So we really feel like this thing will build, and to get the female and the minority participation, this partnership's key.
Well, as far as the girls, just as a warning, I understand there are a lot of girls right now who are hoping to take welding next year. So you've opened up a floodgate, I think, and I really applaud you all for all the work that you've done out there.
I just wanted to also say thank you. Having these partnerships, they open up doors for our students that they may have never known about. And like you said, Matt, just getting them exposed to them, getting them ready. I mean, that's a life-changing thing that can for the students. So thank you.
Yeah, we have 17 local trades that are wanting to work with Champaign schools now, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes, Karis.
Yeah, I just sincerely want to thank you for the energy that you put behind this initiative. It's so important for our community. So just thank you both very much from the deepest of my heart. Yeah, it's awesome.
Now I can go. First off, Matt, first, Matt, I want to just thank you for your enthusiasm for this program and all that you have done for this program. This first time meeting you, but I see that you've definitely been very key in getting these partnerships together, something that we've been looking at for a long time. And obviously could not happen without your leadership and your partnership and your help and your funds. So definitely keep it coming. And to Mark, we've had very many conversations, and as many know, when I was running for school board 2011, getting trades back into the school was one of my campaign points. I said I wanted to get trades back into school. That was one big one for me because of my own career path, graduating from Centennial in 2001 and choosing not to go to college and not having any other options. And so I kind of just floated around for a very long time looking for my way until I was able to land my current job at University of Civil Engineering at about 25. When my boss came in, he said, I had no clue what they did, no clue. And so we walked through the machine shop I work with millwrights, and we went through walked through the room, and he was like, you know what this is? You know what that is? Oh yeah, I know what that is. That's a drill press over there, buddy. That's a horizontal drill press over there. And he just stopped, and he said, really? I said, yeah. He said, son, we have a lot of work to do with you. Because it was a mill and a lathe. But in my world, I've never seen those before. I didn't know what they were called. I've seen them in TV, but I didn't have any connection with them. But I told him, I don't know what this is. Reading the ruler, I knew where the inch, the half, and quarter of an inch was at. And that was about the end of it. Because I didn't go to Edison where they had the shop classes. I didn't go to Central where they had the big shop classes. I went to Franklin and went to Centennial. So I didn't take those classes. And so being a part of that, I told them I was willing to learn whatever. And so I've taken those classes at Parkland in the industrial technology. And you're absolutely right. When I look at who's in that room, those kids from Monticello can teach a class on day one. They're literally there going through the motions. I mean, that's all they're doing. And many of them were my tutors. I picked up a lot of friends from Monticello going through those classes because I had absolutely no clue. And because of that route of me taking that and really finding a very stable career path that's actually, quite lucrative, and it's, it does pay very well. But in our schools, like you said, in our urban communities here in Unit 4, we're not sending our kids that route to the trades. And once I got in and I saw the jobs that were available, the amount of money, I know like painters at the university make like $36 an hour. Why would you not send a kid that route? Why would you not suggest that if they say they're not going to go to college? But like you say, people gravitate to what they know. And so I'm very glad to see these partnerships working together because I was at that first meeting too. And I knew what I wanted to do. I had no clue how to get there. I didn't know how I was going to put it back at schools. I had no clue where to start. So I'm very thankful to have you two working together with our district to make one of my dreams definitely come true. So I'm almost ready to check this off of my list of things that have been accomplished, but I know there's a lot more work to do, and as we move forward with the remodeling of Centennial, with the building of Central, just stay with us to be a part of that, of how do we make trades work with our buildings, whatever that may look like in the future.
One more. As the daughter of a welder and a licensed practical nurse, I'd like to thank Mr. Shagnon, Mr. Langendorf, and everyone in the Building Trades Council and staff for all the work that we've done to bring the building trades back. This is very important. As Dan McCall likes to say, these jobs are not getting exported to China. They're staying here in the U.S., and they're very vital people to have. Saturday morning, I flushed my toilet, and it started to rise, and I thought, oh, God, no. It fixed itself, thanks God, but, when something's wrong, when the pipes are leaking in your basement and you've got 2 inches of water on the ground and more's coming down from the ceiling, these people are very important people to have. And this past winter, according to an article I saw recently in the New York Times, there were heating and ventilation guys on the East Coast making over $100,000 from all the work they had with broken furnaces. So it's not a bad job to be in.
Thank you both. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Dr. Wiegand, can I ask you, so they spoke to the 28 hours that this young one of our students graduated dual credit. So 28 hours, who pays for that? Can you speak a little bit how that works, please?
Sure. So as Mark had mentioned, when we start taking a look at access for our students to advanced studies at Parkland in the dual credit area, we found that sometimes it's the issue of paying for tuition as well as transportation. So we took a look at how can we remove those barriers. And so we do put aside funds in our budget to support students who have shown a commitment to this, and they go through a pretty extensive application process and interview to make sure that this is truly the direction they want to take and that they have the grade point average to do it. So it's through the district support that the students are provided then the tuition as well as fees for books and also transportation if needed.
So these would be juniors and seniors that are attending Parkland. So at what point, as a parent, do I start to talk to my child about
knowing that your son's entering high school right now?
Right now.
Yes, it should be part of that 4-year plan. So you start taking a look at those introductory courses in grades 9 and 10, and exploring that.
Okay. And question on that. Is this a program that is advertised to students, or students have to ask about it?
No, it is something through our career and our career counselors, and so they can certainly, they certainly do reach out, and so we certainly try to advertise it as much as possible, but certainly there's that awareness on the student and parents' part as well.
Okay. And so I guess there has to be education somehow from the counselors in to know that these jobs, because like my job in particular, had no clue that the job even existed, so I would have never applied for it if I saw it.
So what a great, and you probably didn't mean to do this, but our next presentation is about career cruising.
I meant that on purpose.
So I'm going to turn back to Mark because you asked about how do you know about these jobs, how do you find out about these jobs, and the things that we've been doing through career cruising starting in 6th grade. And we're also doing some piloting at the elementary, at Stratton Elementary, so I'll let Mark talk about that piece of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, very smooth. Thank you, George.
Yes, Jamar, you're absolutely right. Our college and career counselors do an outstanding job at both Central and Centennial of getting the word out about the different programs, and the Excel in College program has been advertised a lot with the kids. They know about it. They go in their junior classes and talk to them about this in their sophomore classes. So we're really getting the word out about that, saying we will help you with these 4 areas: construction, industrial tech, automotive, and nurse's assistant. And if you want to become an RN day, you have to get your CNA, or you can't even start the nursing program. So we're really being helpful to those kids. And I think last year we put 16 kids through the program and helped pay for their expenses through the scholarship program. So without that, that wouldn't have happened for those young people. So they've done an outstanding job, and our college and career counselors stay on top of that really closely. So what I've got now, and I'll be as brief as I possibly can, because I could talk about this forever, because this is the best, as far as I'm concerned, the best piece of material we've got for our kids in the district, but I'm biased because careers is so much a part of my life, and I want our kids to have some sense of relevancy as to why they go to school every day. Career cruising is an unbelievable piece. We brought this to our district as a pilot at Centennial High School in April of 2006. Through this program, we can see how many people are getting on board and using it, and since 2006, we've had over 100,000 hits on career cruising now. That is in Centennial, it is at Central, it is at Novak, it is now at Edison, it is now at Jefferson, and it is now at Franklin. So kids starting in 6th grade all the way through 12th grade can use career cruising. They have their own individual portfolio, it's on here forever, and once they leave our schools, they can still go back into their portfolio and use it. Now, what can you use this for, Mr. C? Well, let me get into this and let me show you. And I type like my fellow friend, Mr. Kleber. I'm a 2-finger typer, so I didn't
That would be
I didn't
Mr.
pass
Kleber.
typing in school. So we're going to see how this works. But anyway, Ken's been great to me because he's really, he's encouraged me with my typing. So hopefully I'll get this thing done. Ken, can you help me here? I just don't know how to do this. I got to get back in here again. Could you show me how to get this in? Huh? Okay, it's not going in. Okay. Should I hit login, Ken? Is it going to go? It's going to say no, Mr. Shagnon. You have the wrong no. So this program has, and I've given all the board members the features. See, I didn't type it in right, Ken. I gave everybody the features for this program, and I think you got it. I also put a handout back here. It's a yellow handout for everybody. So if you want to take a look at the features of this program, it's all on one page, and it's just for you to take home with you if you'd like, okay? when I get into this, it goes to I'm welcome to mine, and it spells my name correctly, which is sweet. But this is a program that will allow you to do a number of different things, and I'm only going to share with you a few of those tonight. First of all, it starts off with assessments. In the assessment area, it allows us to do a very interesting interest assessment that's 116 questions with all of our students, and allows them to go through, and it looks at their values, it looks at their personality and their interest. And from those results, and you can see my 6th grade results right here, but I did this with 6th graders last week, so I saved it. Amazing what Mr. Shagnon comes up with. After I did this 116 questions, it told me I should be a career counselor. Amazing. Thank God it did that, because then it said down below it's school counselor, which is good, but it also said I should be a middle school teacher. My wife is a middle school teacher, and I told her there's no way in God's green earth I'm going to do that, but she will go to heaven. Anyway, career counselor came up, and when kids see a career that pops up, they go, well, Mr. Shagnon, how can I learn about that? If I want to learn about school counselor, I simply click it. It takes me to that career, and every career that's in here shares with you why it came up based on your results, and also shares with you a job description. And in that job description, it also gives you an interview that I can go to with this young lady who is a school counselor. I can do I can read a written interview, I can listen to the interview, and I can also listen to her advice, and this is a video of her. So I can do all that on Career Cruising right here in that one career. I can look at the working conditions of that career. I can look at the earnings that I can make in that career. And there's another interview with another career student counselor. And down below it shares with me the Illinois wages. It shares with me the Illinois outlook and how many people in Illinois are going to grow in this area. And it says, Mr. Shagnon, I don't want to stay in Illinois. The taxes are way too high. What do you want to do? I want to leave and go to Georgia. So I go down here and I pick Georgia. And let's go to Georgia. And now I can look at the statistics in Georgia and how much somebody would make in Georgia. And I can look at what the prediction is for jobs in Georgia as a school counselor, just that quickly. Okay? I can also go to education, and I can pick out education. And I can look at what do I have to do to get there. And what I share with the students is this. I tell them basically, I said, the Career Cruising program is like, when you go on a trip, what do you have to use? Mr. Shagnon, use a GPS. I said, when I was a kid, my dad threw an Illinois map at me and said, read it. Okay? Now they use the GPS. I said, in order for that to work, Karis, what do they have to plug in? They have to plug in a destination. And once you plug that destination in, now they know where they're going. Well, Career Cruising is our district's career GPS. It helps our kids know exactly where they should go to get to be where they want to be. If I want to go into this program, I want to be a counselor, well, here's some related college programs. What would this one be like? Well, here's some programs, and this is all in Illinois. These are all programs in Illinois that offer graduate programs in school counseling. I don't know anything about Roosevelt University, Mr. Shagnon. If we click Roosevelt University, it gives me all the information about Roosevelt University. The admissions, the academic information, and it gives me what it costs to go there. Oh, $39,250 a year. See, it's always interesting to me when I hold up, Jamar, a sheet in front of the kids and say, you see this number? And I show them 100,000. And they go, what's that, Mr. Shagnon? I said, that's what it costs to go to the University of Illinois for 4 years now. Yeah. They don't know it. They don't know it. So what we can do is we can share with kids exactly how much it's going to cost and share with their parents. So I can look at that on every career. Mr. Shagnon, would you please tell me more about the careers that you have available for me? I'd like to look at it in a different way. Well, I just want to look at careers that start with a G. Well, then every career that starts with a G is right here. Sweet. Okay? I don't care what they want to look. And when I go back to my assessments, and I go back to my matchmaker, and what I did on that, and I've got my skills here, if I roll this down and I've got a student that says, Mr. Shagnon, there is no way in the world I'm going to go to a university. I'm going to community college. That's it. I'm not going to do that. Great. Let's go over here. Let's wipe out. I'm not going to go to a four-year school. I'll go as far as community college. Let's update my results. What happened to my results? And I asked the kids to look at them. What happened to my results? Well, they changed, Mr. Shagnon. You better believe they changed. A lot of them on there aren't there anymore because I need a 4-year degree to get there. Oh. So we can educate our kids on how much education they need and how far they need to go. Another piece, too, I think is really cool is in the education piece. I can look at the United States of America and say, gee, I want to go to school in New Mexico. Here's all the schools in New Mexico. Well, I just want to go to a 4-year school. Well, let's wipe out these guys. And let's just see, oh, there's 14 schools in New Mexico that are four-year schools. And here they are. You want to learn about New Mexico State? Yep, let's click on that, and here we go. And we can learn all about New Mexico State that quickly. So it's a great tool. What else do we have in the education part? If I roll down here a little bit, I can compare 3 schools against each other if I want to. In any way, I can look at grad schools, career and tech, or I can look at undergrads. But look at this one. It says planning timeline. Okay, parents, here you go. Listen up. I've got a planning timeline for my kids. It says college, but I'd like to say post-secondary education. Okay? Let's not use that college word as much as it scares kids. Let's use post-secondary education. And if we look down this and we get to 8th grade, it tells our 8th graders, hey, 8th graders, as you get ready to go into your freshman year, this is what you need to be doing. Your GPS is talking to you. 9th grade, this is what you need to be doing as you prepare for your sophomore year. 10th grade, this is what you ought to be doing as you prepare for your junior year. And this is fall of junior year coming up. And they break it into fall, spring, and summer of your junior year. And now we go to your senior year, and here's what you ought to be doing your senior year. So if we have parents that are saying, what can I do with my child to get them to where they need to be, we have it built into Career Cruising to share a path for them to get there. It's all built in just for them. Mark, I'm so worried about paying for my kids' education. How in the world am I going to do that? Well, this lists almost every piece of financial aid I can think of. It tells you how to fill out your FAFSA form if you want to go through it and talks about FAFSA. But it also gets in here and has a financial aid selector. What's that, Mr. Chagnon? If I click this, it simply goes through and has a series of questions that it asks me. If I go through that with my child and I answer all these questions, it will tell me what scholarships my child is eligible for based on my answers. And when my wife and I did this after our kids were educated, one of my children would have qualified and been eligible for 52 scholarships. And we thought we weren't because of the income we made. Okay? So I fell into the same trap all my friends did. So if we go back to financial aid, it also lists, like any letter, there's 236 scholarships or grants under D. And you can go down to any one of them and look it up, and it tells you about that scholarship, the type of award, numbers, how much is it, and oh look, total amount given out last year, 0. This is one of many I found in here that there was scholarship money available, and it sat on the table. And here we had our students earn $6 million in monies. We could have doubled that maybe. Who knows? So, enough said on that. Employment, this is another piece. I'll end with this. The employment section talks about what I like to work with our juniors and seniors is on work search. You can go through the work search. You can go through their resumes. You can go through letter writing, interview skills, questions they can ask you, questions they can't ask you. It's all in this program. And I can't tell you enough. Here's build my resume. It's all built into this. Once I go through and do all this and fill out my portfolio with all my extracurricular activities, and I put all my work in and everything else, I've got myself a resume, and I've got 3 different looks. I can look at a professional, elegant, or contemporary resume. And for Mr. Chagnon, if I go in here and say, well, what's it look like? There's my resume, hopefully. And every student that's in this Summer Youth Employment Program did this with us. And they all walked into their career fair on May 7th with their own personal resume off of Career Cruising. So, I don't know what else to say to you except I think it's a great program. I wanted you to know about it and bring it to you tonight and let you just see it real quickly. I can go through more of it with you later, but I know we have a huge agenda tonight, so I'll get off of this. But it shares with you so much, and the kids have their own plan that they can go to and say, Mr. Chagnon, I've got my plan. It's my Mark Chagnon's plan. I've got my assessments, all of my careers, all of my education, every scholarship. It's all inside my plan. And it's something I can take with me, and I can look at this in school, at home, at the library, anywhere I've got a computer access and the internet, I'm on Career Cruising.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Any questions, Board? Len?
You said that people can access this outside of the school. Is that correct?
The students can access this outside of school. All of them have a log-on.
Okay.
But since we are paying a license fee for it, I can't give it to the public, but I can
Okay.
give it to our kids. There is a parent portal that the parents can log on and go right to that if the kids say it's okay.
Okay, because that was going to be my next
Yes.
question. Is
With all we want the kids to feel like this is their program and this
Okay.
is their information. If they choose to share with parents, and most parents can talk them into it, but if they talk to them, they can get it done.
okay,
Okay.
because I'm thinking of my son when he was 14 and 15 years old and
Right.
disinterested in school, disengaged. To have something like this accessible to him and
Right.
to be able to walk through it with him and say, look, you can do this, you can do that,
I just worked with a 32-year-old that had no clue as to where he wanted to go. He was lost, and we did this for over the weekend, and he's got a direction, and he's got his GPS fired up, and he knows what he wants to do. So
Awesome.
It really helps our kids, and I can't say enough about the 6th through 12th graders. This year, we had 22,000 hits out of that 100,000. So you can see that we're really stepping this up, and our middle schools are doing a great job, and our high schools are stepping it up too. So, yes, Jamar.
Well, thank you for putting this on. Obviously, something that I like, and I want to know how is this being used, because to piggyback off of Lynn, I think used correctly, it gets kids back engaged in school. A lot of our
Right.
kids disconnect because they don't feel like, did they turn the mics up?
You're on. Talk louder.
No, they said, did they turn them up? I feel like an echo. A lot of kids disengage because they don't see a need, or they don't see how this math subject helps me when I'm an adult, or how this science course helps me as an adult. And so they're very disengaged because they don't see the connection till later on in life. Like where myself, I am not a math student at all. But now in my current job, I needed to know trigonometry. Had I known that in high school, I actually would have paid attention a lot more, because it's a lot easier to learn it in high school than it is to learn it as an adult. So are we using that in that
We
math
are.
classroom?
That is something that is part of my. That's part of my push. And Dr. Wiegand's listening, and so is Dr. Taylor and Ange and Smith. We're all working on this to make sure that this is a part of the fabric of our schools, not just, oh, we have career cruising and I did this, this, and this, check it off. We want this to be part of the culture, part of the fabric, something that kids turn to, and when they hear career cruising, it's easy. And then if they do a science project, they can look inside and see what they can do science-wise. Or if they're working in English, write a research paper on the career you want to go into, and all your work is right here. If we can get our classes to do that kind of work, I think we're going to go a long way. But we can also target market our guest speakers coming into our schools. If I know that I've got this 18 kids that want to be nurses, or 28 kids want to be computer programmers, I can say, Karis, would you please come and speak to these 25 computer programming kids about their future? You better believe it, Mark. And then he's talking to 25 kids that have eyes on him, and they're awake.
That's what they want to do.
Okay? And so if we can do that, we can really serve our kids much better.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Comments? Mark, thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, for all your work. You're awesome. Next item, high school planning and programming updates. Matt Foster.
Good evening. We have with us this evening representatives from Gorski Reef Stick and DLR to go ahead and report out on how the high school program planning is going at this point. It looks like Jason will be representing DLR this evening. Hello, Jason.
Questions?
Appreciate that.
You got jokes.
Let's go back. Start at the beginning. Good evening. I'll be brief tonight. Although we've had a lot of activities in the last month, I've summarized it in just a few slides for us. There it goes. In addition to what you see on screen here, of course, activities are still ongoing. We've had several meetings with administration, community, staff, representatives, all those good folks who've come and participated in the process. In addition to what was already mentioned tonight with career and tech ed, special education, ESL, we've touched a lot of different groups as a part of this process, and the planning and programming is of course ongoing, but I'd characterize it as being refined. We're in the point now where we're synthesizing all this information, we're aggregating data, and we're getting to the point where things are coming together. One of the things that I touched on my last update in May was estimated space needs at Centennial with increased enrollment of 1,700 students. And as I understand that could come as early as 2022.
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, students are here.
Students are already here.
Students
They're
are
coming.
K1, 2, yes.
They're in second grade. So tonight I thought I'd report on Central High School. And so when they attain that enrollment, the number of additional spaces needed to deliver as you currently deliver, if we just carry that forward without changing any of the variables, there's an additional need for 14 classrooms, 1 additional small classroom, 8 more science labs, and 2 PE stations. So as you can see, that's not insignificant by any stretch of the imagination, so action is indeed required in order to satisfy that enrollment, to get that tier 0 of educational adequacy as we spoke about in May. Just as a brief refresher, when we think about Centennial, the numbers are higher. Centennial is a smaller facility, so when it attains that enrollment, again, we'll see some increased space needs. And this was previously reported, so this is a refresher. 19 classrooms, 3 small classrooms, 7 science labs, and 5 PE stations. When I total those two together, 33 classrooms, 4 small classrooms, 15 science labs, and 7 PE stations. So this is a significant amount of square footage to be considered, particularly at Central High School, which of course, as we all know, is completely landlocked. Where would that addition occur? So obviously the planning and programming work that's ongoing is important with this context in mind. I wanted to put a plug in. It's already been mentioned at least once tonight. There's an upcoming community meeting June 17th at 6 p.m. at Central High School. Please come and attend. We're going to be talking about a myriad of issues, but site is one of our top issues for that evening. And now, questions.
Jason, did you preface your conversations about the need for classrooms? How did you come about that? So what kind of, have you had conversations with the staff, or is this just something you know based on the layout of the building?
No, that comes from a data model. So we do a process. We use the enrollment patterns, the percentage of students taking each course, and we extrapolate based upon the current population what additional students would do to the program. So we first do a benchmark of the existing spaces and how you use them, and then we extrapolate out for the additional students and come up with the new numbers for additional space.
Okay.
So it's a data-driven approach. You know, it's about finding the right size, and so these numbers are with those variables in play are just extrapolating out.
Okay, very good. Questions? Okay, no, I think we're good. And thank you very much, Jason. We're going to take, Tommy, can we take about 3 minutes before we get started on our next agenda item? Is that all right? Do I need a motion to do that? Okay, so 3 minutes. So we'll be back at 7:46. Is School Board Resource Officer, Program Evaluation and Contract Renewal and Extension. Orlando Thomas, you're on.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Wiegand, Board of Education. Before I start, I would like to recognize some special guests that we have with us this evening. Chief of Police, Anthony Cobb. Deputy City Manager, Joan Walls. And 2 deputy chiefs, Deputy Chief Gallo and Troy Daniels. And it looks like we still have some council members present, so if they are here, if they could please stand.
So just for people that didn't see them, we have Marcy Dodds, Paul Faraci, and Karen Foster.
And Will Kiles.
And Will, oh gosh, Will, I'm sorry. And Will Kiles.
Thanks. Very good.
All right. At the request of the Board of Education, last summer when we presented the SRO contract, the request was made for us to convene a committee, and we did that. The committee was comprised of members from the Ministerial Alliance, NAACP, Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club, our regional safe school, which is ready, officials from the Champaign Police Department, as well as school administrators, to conduct a comprehensive overview of the program. We began meeting in October and met every month through April. During those meetings, we discussed the history of the SRO program, reviewing both pre- and post-arrest data. We reviewed the standard operating procedures, which were created in 2006 and had not been reviewed since, and conducted a survey to ensure that we captured the voice and perceptions of our students and staff in Unit 4. As an administrator at Jefferson Middle School in 2006, I was given a unique opportunity to participate in the interview and hiring process at the inception of the program. And I was really excited at the opportunity to chair and lead this committee. Anytime you conduct an evaluation, the goal follows really 3 initiatives. The first is to review your practices, analyze the data, and be open and reflective on ways to improve the program. And so throughout this process, we will certainly have some recommendations that we will share at the end that we have certainly recognized and will address this summer to make sure that this program, if it is voted to continue, that we are in improvement mode and will certainly use some of those recommendations to improve the program. So at this time, I would like to invite up Deputy Chief Troy Daniels to review the history and the changes to the standard operating procedures. Troy.
Good evening. I'm fortunate to be one of the command officers that works with the School Resource Officer Program, but also present here tonight, Deputy Chief Joe Gallo. He was critical in starting the School Resource Officer Program, which I appreciate the work that he did as a lieutenant of investigations at that time, and Lieutenant Bob Ray. He's currently the commander of investigations, and he's the one that's in charge of the School Resource Officer Program, as well as appreciate my chief being here and City Council members and Deputy City Manager Joan Walls. I'm fortunate to be a lifelong member of this area, graduated from Centennial High School. I was sad to say I was 19 years older than Jamar once he laid out what year he graduated. But I also am fortunate to have 2 children in Unit 4 schools. One is a junior. My daughter's a junior at Centennial High School, and depending on what day of the week, she claims me, but I will always claim her. And my son is a 4th grader at Westview Elementary School. Champaign police officers have been connected to Unit 4 schools for before 1975. We don't even really know what we did before 1975, but we knew in 1975 there were 3 detectives they were a juvenile unit, and they helped solve crimes that occurred in Unit 4 schools. Then in 1975 we added 2 more detectives to that unit, so we ended up with 5 juvenile detectives at that time. And they were working in all the schools, making sure that they dealt with crime in the schools. They were outside the building, but they would come in whenever necessary. In 1991, we expanded by hiring 2 officers to teach DARE in our schools. And that was taught in our schools up through 2002. 2002, we started calling them community drug enforcement with community drug education with Unit 4. Code 4 officers, and we started teaching at the elementary, middle school, and high school level. Then in 2003, to show how important the Unit 4 schools are, we took a narcotics position and we moved it over to the community outreach, the Code 4 program, so that we then had 3 officers in the schools, on top of the 5 juvenile detectives that were already still working in our detective division. About 2003 is when we started the Station Adjustment Program. Illinois law had changed in the late 1990s, where Illinois law was very retribution. They wanted to punish kids who did wrong. They wanted to crush a child that did wrong. Whereas at the beginning of 2000, they wanted to restore that child. So it became restorative as far as the law goes. So when that happened, they allowed officers, police departments, to create a Station Adjustment Program. And I'm very proud to say that in the early 2000s, Champaign Police was a leader in this area, starting a very formal process to divert kids from the criminal justice system. And that program, which basically allows a parent, a child, and a police officer to have a contract so that that child complies with certain conditions, so that if they comply with those conditions, like curfew, writing a letter of apology, going to school, etc., that their criminal case will not be prosecuted in court. That Station Adjustment Program has diverted hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children in the last decade in the city of Champaign from criminal prosecution because of the leadership of our department. In late 2005, the Unit 4 School District noticed a increase in severity of student-on-student attacks, and some of these attacks were involving teachers and administrators that were getting hurt trying to break up those fights. The superintendent at the time had a community forum in late 2005, and basically at that time, school resource officers were brought up. Should officers be in the building? Within a month or two, Champaign City Council had a study session. Within 3 or 4 months after that, there was a formal agreement that was approved by the City Council and by the school district to have school resource officers in the building. In that agreement, 2 resource officers are paid for by Unit 4. 3 school resource officers are paid for by the city. And in addition, the city pays for all the training and all of the incident-driven overtime. Now, when you look at the costs, the first year was about $203,000 that the school district paid. And then last year, the cost was about $270,000. That would have been year 7. This year, we are projecting that it will cost $291,000. That increase, about 8%, is because of pension costs, health insurance going up, workers' compensation going up, and life insurance costs going up, as well as the normal raise that our fraternal order police got in their union negotiations. As Orlando Thomas mentioned, when we first started the program, there was a lot of community concern, and people were very interested in how this program was going to get started. So we put the officers who wanted to become SROs through an unprecedented interview process. Their interview panel had 20 people on it. How many people here had an interview panel with 20 people on it? There were community members. There were... Okay, Dr. Wiggin, okay. There's a few back there. But very few frontline officers or employees experience what it's like to do a presentation in front of 20 people to get their job. We had school district people, we had police department employees, and we had community leaders. In fact, one of the people on that interview panel was the plaintiff's attorney during the consent decree that was on this interview panel. So we look at their oral presentation skills, their performance reports, and their experience. And the 5 SROs that were selected at that time, I am happy to say, are still the SROs in our building today. So at the time, they had 9 years experience. And 3 of them were already community outreach officers that had been in the school for several years. Right now, these officers have 17 years of experience, between 8 and 10 years in the building. All of them are certified juvenile officers. They've all been to advanced SRO training. And when I was speaking to them, here are some of the other certifications and expertises that they have. Active shooter instructor. They are ALICE instructors, alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. Crisis intervention officers. One is a child forensic interviewer. 2 are cultural diversity instructors. 2 are drug prevention instructors. 1 is a gang awareness and bullying instructor. 1 is a Spanish language instructor. 3 are crime scene technicians. 1 is an electronic technical investigator. 2 are alcohol instructors, and 1 is a driver safety instructor. That's not counting the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours they've been through in the course of their nearly 17 to 20-year career. They know juvenile law. They know how and when to use force. Our school resource officers are seasoned veterans, and they know what happens in the school, I'm very happy to say. Our school resource officer program is formulated based on guidelines from the National Association of School Resource Officers. Basically, 3 roles. Law enforcement officer, law-related teacher, and law-related counselor. I'm not going to read the mission statement, but basically you'll see those 3 roles throughout that mission statement. The data is something that everyone's interested in. Everyone wants to know about the data. Is it proven that having school resource officers in the building helps create the atmosphere that makes it more conducive for learning? I would say by looking at the data that it's fairly clear to me that that is the case. But I will want to say that we did that in concert with help from the school district, from the administrators, the teachers, from the parents. So we didn't do this all on our own. And we've had one heck of a partner in Orlando Thomas from the school district throughout all the years. When you look at the 2005-2006 year, which was prior to the School Resource Officer Program, and that was the year they had the community forum when there were student-on-student attacks increasing in Unit 4, you see 769 calls for service. Well, we scanned documents today and found at that time, and we just found the document today, that out of those calls for service, about 348 of them were police reports that were generated. So we now have an apple-to-apple comparison. So there were 348 police reports generated the year before the SROs were in the building. You'll see calls for service for the next 2 years at 612 and 473. And then in 2008-2009 is when we started to say, let's classify a call for service as a police report, something that results in a police report. So you'll see in that year there were 148 police reports. Well, remember, we just found the document today that showed out the 769 calls for service the year before the SRO. We had 348 police reports. So it went in 3 or 4 years from 348 the year before down to 148 in 2008-2009. And I'm happy to say that year after year after year, as Champaign Police School Resource Officers interact with the building, we talk more about how we can divert youth, we interact better, and with the programs that are put in place by the administration and the school district, we're creating the atmosphere together where I can say that in this last year, only 52 police reports were filed in the city schools, as compared to 348 in 2005-2006. If we look at arrest data, we can see the year before the SROs came into the building, there were 56 arrests. And with all data, we've got to go back to the year before. We're doing the best we can to look at that data with the computer system that we have, but we did not have SROs in the building going over the data with a fine-tooth comb like we did starting in 2006. So when I say there are 56 arrests, that's the best I can do for you based on the access to data that I have. I can say that when we first came into the building for the first 2 or 3 years, arrests went up. 74, 82, 84. But then you start to see, after so many years, you start to see the arrests went down. 46, 35, 41, 34, 21 this last year. In fact, we may have even been 3 high because when we were looking at the data really close today, that 21 may have been 18, depending on how we look at it. So we're going to have to go over that. We try to get some data thrown quickly together for this, and so somewhere between 18 and 21 arrests for this last year, as compared to 82 or 84 at the high and 56 before we came into the building. There's concern that certain people of color, African Americans, Latinos, may be represented higher in the arrest data. I want to say clearly that the vast majority of children of all races are behaving appropriately in Unit 4 schools. We are talking about a small group of students that have problems, that have issues. But I will say that when you look at this arrest data, this mirrors the suspension data of the district. So this data is not something that we're happy about, but this data mirrors, as far as racial demographics, the suspension data of Unit 4 school very, very closely. So when we can talk about data, but more importantly, let's talk about, in my opinion, the lives that are touched by the SRO program. So we look at the data, we can say, okay, arrests have gone down, police reports have gone down, but how are the schools impacted? And I can say without question, through 8 years of many community meetings, we've been in front of the Human Relations Commission every year. We've done presentations to the school district. We've done presentations across the community. We've spoken to administrators and teachers and parents and students. And I can tell you without question that we have broad support throughout the city for the School Resource Officer Program. And what I hear is that we help create an atmosphere that makes learning more conducive, that we bring calmness and order. And unfortunately, that has to happen sometime. We do our best to divert youth whenever we possibly can. And we collaborate with the district administrators and with our building principals on when children should be diverted and when children need to be arrested. We do our best to divert a young person from being arrested. We do the best job that we can. But there are times that an arrest is necessary. There are times when we must say this behavior is not tolerated You strike a teacher, this is not tolerated. You have multiple friends that jump on one person and hurt them. This is not tolerated. And when those behaviors happen, we have to make an arrest. Even those children, though, that we arrest, we still don't give up on them. And this last year, the school district and the Champaign Police Department created a youth assessment center with other community stakeholders. This youth assessment center wraps services around the juvenile and their families so that they become stronger. It's in all of our best interest if we make sure kids don't reoffend. But even the kids that go to the youth detention center, and even those kids that see a judge and get convicted of a juvenile crime, thank goodness it's a juvenile crime. Their records are sealed when they become an adult. We want them to learn now how to behave and where the line is, because once they become 18 years old, there's no forgiveness in the adult system. They get convicted of a felony at 18, they will live with that felony for the rest of their life. But they won't live with the criminal sanctions that happen to them as a juvenile if they're taught appropriately. When we look at some of the other ways that school resource officers impact lives, I can tell you that there are many kids that go up to the SROs and talk to them about problems they're having with their parents. There are many times parents call the SROs and say, hey, will you talk to my kid about A, B, C, or D, because he or she will listen to you. The SROs, if any one of you would like, or talk to someone who's seen it, you will see a lot of positive interaction between these kids. They come back after graduation just to visit the SRO. One of your SROs, SRO Thomas, worked with legislators to create a law that was passed unanimously by the state legislator called the Safe School Zone. And that gave school districts across the state the ability to protect your borders from people that you don't want there. Before, he recognized that all they could really do is if someone came in, repeatedly tell them to leave. Now you can actually preemptively tell someone that you know you have a problem with, you will not be in our area at a certain time. SRO Wahala worked with the neighborhood to the east of Centennial High School and made sure there were many complaints. Anyone in the district can say how many complaints were occurring in that neighborhood to the east of Centennial. SRO Wahala made sure that the students learned what it was like to behave appropriately, worked with the neighbors to make sure that problem stopped. We have SROs in the summertime with Fitness 5.0 going around camps and playing games with kids and doing running programs with them. SRO Westfield has created a bullying presentation that's well regarded throughout the area and has done that presentation throughout the county. And as all of us know, bullying in the school really impacts kids, really impacts the environment that those kids are in. I'm happy to say that when I look at the SRO program, I can tell you without question the stats have gone down, and I can also tell you the arrests have gone down. I can tell you that there's a better learning environment, and it's a safer, calmer environment than it was in 2005, without question. Part of the deal that we did with our committee was we looked at standard operating procedure changes. When our program started, and we can talk to Deputy Chief Gallo about this, it was a struggle to find any agency in the area that even had standard operating procedures that were different than their police department. Most SRO programs didn't have the sort of community involvement that ours had that wanted our own standard operating procedures. So we created basically our own standard operating procedures. And those standard operating procedures lasted for a long time, and we followed the vast majority of them. But some things changed. When we created those SOPs, that was before we even had an SRO in the building. Once the SROs were in the building, it was very, very quick that most people understood that the SROs played a very positive role in creating the right kind of atmosphere in those buildings. But there were some changes that this committee recommended. We want teachers and administrators to know more about the topics that their SROs can teach. We want that information up front because we want SROs in the classroom more often. We want SROs to have more communication with the building principals, especially when it comes to their work schedule. School incident reports for school-related discipline if they fill out those reports can be given to the building administrators. That was already occurring, but we wanted to make sure that happened. And I want to make sure, kind of going back on that, the vast majority of incidents that are occurring are already being handled by your building principals and your deans. It's a very small minority of incidents that we don't even get called in on. The vast, vast majority of of situations are being handled by your own principals and your own dean. So when a SRO writes a report based on those, we want to make sure those reports could get to the principal so it could be used for school discipline reason. My chief wanted more collaboration with SROs. He stressed it. I sat there and listened to him when he went through the SOP, and he said, we need to make sure that the SROs know we want them to collaborate with the building administrators so that we can discuss more about when a kid should receive criminal sanctions versus diversion. The chief wanted to make sure that SROs only got involved in searches when there was a criminal legal reason. So we put language in there to make it very clear that an SRO wasn't going to be doing searches unless there was a criminal legal reason, probable cause or reasonable suspicion to be doing that search. And as far as confidentiality goes, we wanted to make sure that we follow the law, but as Orlando Thomas will talk about here in a second, we recognize that we can improve how we communicate and in what matters we communicate, and the law allows for this, so over the summer we're going to be working on improving that. In closing, Champaign Police Department takes the safety of the schools very seriously. Remember those 5 detectives that I told you that were in the schools, that were certified juvenile officers? We made sure now that all 11 of our detectives are certified juvenile officers and are also working in the schools to solve crime, on top of the SROs that are there. In addition, the City of Champaign pays for the crossing guard program and manages it. That's about $100,000 a year. In addition, when you see all the Champaign police officers at the school zones at the beginning of the day to make sure people are traveling safely through those areas, that was an initiative started by our department to make sure that people would drive carefully through those programs, through those sections, to make sure that the kids got there safely. And at lunchtime, when you see the police officers going by the schools and making sure that the kids are behaving properly and that they're safe, that's another thing that we make sure that we do every day to make sure that our schools are safe, because there's nothing more important than the safety of our children. We are honored to work with the school district. We believe we've been a good partner. We want to continue to be your partner, and we're looking forward to making the SRO program even better than it is today through increased communication and better collaboration. Thank you.
So in January, as the committee continued meeting, and we were wrapping up the changes to the standard operating procedures, we thought that we knew it was going to be very important to make sure that we captured the voice of our students and teachers, because people's perceptions are their reality, and we did not want to offer a presentation where we did not have an opportunity to capture that. And so the committee developed, I believe, 11 questions that we put out to students and staff. And here are the numbers of students and staff that were able to complete the survey. 1,368, that's about 27% of the secondary students, which is an extremely high number for survey results. So we were happy with the number of students that were able to complete the survey. In addition, you see the demographic breakdown, with about 50% of the students completing it being white, 22%, about 23% being African American, 9% Asian, and you see the breakdown from there. So the survey results, we have 122 slides. Is anyone interested in seeing all 122? No, I have certainly synthesized the data, so we will not have to go through all 122 slides. This will be shared with the public, and the slides are disaggregated by school. They're disaggregated by race, disaggregated by teacher, and disaggregated by student. So these are the student survey results. See the breakdown by race, by ethnicity, and then the percentage of surveys that were completed by campus. And Edison's number is low. We did not survey the 6th grade students because their SRO officer has been on medical leave for the year. So only the 7th and 8th grade students were surveyed at Edison Middle School. So here are the questions. Do you know your SRO name, your SRO's name? About 62% said yes, 37% no. The SRO increases the level of safety at my school. We see a large percentage said absolutely, that happens, yes. For students only, have you attended an SRO presentation? You see, not a large number of students have participated or been a part of a presentation. I believe that is an area of growth for the program. We want to make sure that teachers know what topics can be covered, and we continue to extend that invitation for teachers to invite SROs into our classrooms more often. If you've been a part of a presentation in your classroom the past 2 years, for staff, about 31% yes, 68% no. I feel comfortable telling my SRO about potential or real problems at school or in the community. And this gets at the proactive role that the officers play. And you see a large majority of students do feel comfortable reporting potential or real problems to their SRO. And so this allows them to get in front of fights. This allows them to get in front of issues that they hear from the community that often make their way into our schools. I am treated respectfully by the SRO. See, a large percentage said absolutely. I think other students are treated respectfully by the SRO. Once again, about 66%, very large number. We wanted to make sure that SROs are visible, so we put a question in about visibility. The SRO at my school is visible and available to students and staff. Once again, large percentage said yes, about 65%. And the SRO helps to build strong relationships between students and police officers. About 54% of students said yes. Switching to our staff survey results. Once again, the breakdown, 75% white, about 10% African American, 5% Asian. You see the breakdown. Ethnicity. And by school. Same questions. Do you know your SRO's name? 88%. Staff members say yes. SRO increases the level of safety at my school. See a large number, about 75%. Believe that statement to be true. Presentations. Once again, an area of focus for upcoming years. Of the teachers that did have a presentation, was the information from the presentation helpful? We see about 59% said yes. I feel comfortable telling my SRO about potential real problems. Once again, from staff members, about 80% say absolutely. I am treated respectfully by the SRO. Once again, a large number, about 85%. I think others are treated respectfully by the SRO. Once again, a large percentage, 82%, saying absolutely. SRO is visible and available to students and staff, 78%. Agree or strongly agree. SRO helps to build strong relationships with students and police officers, 76%. So members of the committee did want 4 questions disaggregated by ethnicity. So the next 4 slides will share that data. So I feel comfortable telling my SRO about potential real problems. You see a larger percentage of white students versus African American and Latino students feel comfortable doing that. Our African American and Latino students, about double the number of students disagree or strongly agree. Once again, an area of focus for upcoming school years. I am treated respectfully by the SRO. Large percentage saying yes. When you see the strongly agree, strongly disagree, and agree, you see more African American and Latino students in disagreement. think other students are treated respectfully by the SRO. Similar trends. But a large percent of students saying they feel respectfully treated by the SRO. Building strong relationships. Right around that 60 to 55% for all subgroups. And then we wanted to do specific questions, those 4 questions disaggregated by schools. And here's that data. So while the number that strongly agree and disagree certainly vary, the numbers that disagree and strongly disagree is pretty consistent across the grade levels. You do see our high school students, I think some high school students kind of checked out and said, don't know, and marked that 37% at Central and 26% at Centennial. So a higher number of students marking don't know as opposed to either agreeing or disagreeing. Students stating that they feel treated respectfully by the SRO. You see, once again, high percentages of students saying yes. Very, very equal when you get to the disagree and strongly disagree. And same trend with Central and Centennial, high percentage of students saying they don't know. I think other students are treated respectfully, similar trends across the board. And building strong relationships between students and police officers. Once again, similar trends with the majority of students saying absolutely agree or strongly agree. So the rest of the slides are same information that we just presented, disaggregated by race and then by specific schools. So at this time, I would like to transition and invite Greg Johnson as well as Sarah Sanders to the podium. And I believe that they have a joint statement on behalf of our secondary principals that they would like to read.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Sanders. I'm the principal of Franklin Middle School. This is Greg Johnson, who is the principal at Centennial High School. We both live in Champaign Community, and our children attend Unit 4 schools. Tonight, we are here representing the secondary principals and would like to briefly add our voice into the debate about whether to continue the SRO contract. We all realize that the decision to continue to include SROs as part of our educational program is an important one. As secondary school principals, we understand the heavy emotions involved and are certainly aware of the political and cultural concerns embedded in this decision. We're happy to see that this conversation is taking place. Open and ongoing communication is necessary to help us determine what is needed to produce the type of environments we need to support student learning in all of our schools. As a result of both the data that you have just seen and our personal experiences with our SROs, we have found this program to be very beneficial to the students in Unit 4, and we are happy to support its continuation. Over the years, we've seen our SROs work to help produce positive learning environments in a variety of ways. Some of these ways are fairly predictable, such as they have provided safety and immediate access to emergency responders during times of crisis. Their presence has helped to deter negative behaviors during the school day and while supervising extracurricular activities. And in the rare instances when we find that an arrest is warranted, our SROs have been able to help us respond immediately in ways that are least disruptive to the learning environment of our students on our campuses.
And as we heard a little bit earlier when Troy Daniels was talking, all of these predictable effects that you saw in the survey results and that Sarah just spoke to are enhanced by the relationships that our SROs have developed with our administrative teams and with our students. While police work differs in many ways, of course, from the work that we do as educators and administrators in our schools, we do work in daily collaboration with our SROs. The conversations we have are open and honest, and they do positively affect how we both do our jobs for Unit 4. So as a result, I want to speak to a few specific effects that would be impossible without the SRO's presence in our schools. They have helped us by bringing information to us about events in the community that could negatively affect students in our schools. This information allows us to respond proactively before issues have a chance to disrupt the school environment. They have helped teach lessons in our classes about the law and how it affects our students. One principal described a calming effect on the entire school as a result of the SRO's collaboration with the staff. They have helped us interpret new state laws that affect how we conduct business in our schools. They have brought the Champaign Police Explorers program into our schools. And I also want to add that at Centennial specifically, since I'm up here, we have started a new means of formally communicating with our SRO, Officer Wahala, on a regular basis. It was beginning this year. Once a week, every Thursday morning, I meet with Officer Wahala and his supervisor, Sergeant Dennis Baltzel, and we discuss things that are going on in the school that you would expect for an SRO and an administrator to discuss. But we also expand that conversation into areas that go far beyond what you would expect. We spend time talking about school climate and ways that we can improve life at Centennial. And as a result of that, I want to point out that just one of the things he brought up, Officer Wahala brought up this year during those conversations, has nothing to do with what you would expect an SRO to bring to a school. He brought in, he wanted to enhance the recycling program at Centennial. And so he went out, funded largely by himself. He purchased a number of tubs. He placed them all around the school. He got them painted. And after major events and on a periodic basis, besides that, he goes around, picks them up himself, and he delivers them to be recycled and brings them back empty. This is just one specific example of how the SROs do affect the climate at Centennial beyond, and our other schools, beyond what you would traditionally expect. So for all these reasons, the continued partnership with our school resource officers and the Champaign Police Department is invaluable to student success in our schools. So as parents of students in Unit 4 schools, as principals and educators, and as community members, we are happy to have the SROs supporting our local schools, and we welcome your support for the program as well. Thanks.
Before we close and read a few recommendations, I would like to acknowledge the committee members that are here today that gave up their evenings between the months of October and April to be a part of this committee. So if you are part of the committee, if you could please stand, and we would like to recognize you. So as educators, we have been trained that any time that you get data, it's just numbers on a page if you do nothing with it. So with the survey data, here are a few of the recommendations that we would like to institute for next year. The first is to conduct focus groups for those subgroups where the data was not equal. We want to get at the root cause. Why do students not feel comfortable sharing? If there's a group of students that say they don't feel respected, we want to have some further conversations to certainly get to the root cause of that. Throughout this process, we also found out, and we were under the assumption that we had a formal reciprocal agreement that allows both entities to share data, and that is not in place. And so this summer, we will be developing that reciprocal agreement. We will also be placing hard copies of the complaint forms in schools, so if there are issues related to the SROs from a student, from a parent, or a teacher, you will certainly know that those forms are available. They're online, but we will also place hard copies in our schools to make sure that we have access. And then lastly, we will be working on creating a joint evaluation. That is something that was in the original document. The SROs are formally evaluated by their supervisors. The agreement states that the district will be part of that process, and they've gathered some input from principals, but we have not been a formal part of that process. And so we'll be working to make sure that the district is a part of that joint evaluation at the end of each year to evaluate all 5 SROs. So that concludes the findings from the committee's work, and at this time we would like to open it up for any questions.
Would you repeat that last part about the evaluation of the SROs again?
In the original agreement, it states that there will be a joint evaluation where the district will be part of that evaluation process. And the SROs are evaluated every year by their supervisors, but the district has not been at the table for that evaluation, meaning we don't have access. They've gotten some input from principals, but the formal aspect of that evaluation, we have not been a part of, and so we're certainly going to meet this summer to make sure that the district is at the table for those formal evaluations of all 5 officers.
Questions, comments? This is just information.
Just information.
It's just information.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jamal.
So real quick, I mean, I have some questions, but I will let other members go first with questions, and maybe we'll check some off my list. But what I did want to say before we spoke is that I know earlier, like I mentioned that, you know, a lot of people wonder why we even had this conversation. Why are we even talking about this? This is a program that has been in place since 2006 and hasn't had much evaluation. And there has been concerns throughout the community over the years of the program without much consideration from the district or the police department of you know, reevaluate, coming back to the table, you know, let's look and see if this still works the way we need this to work. It hasn't happened. And so by us as a board taking our job serious and say we're going to address everyone's requests and everyone's issues, it allows for the committee to be put in place to really dig into the meat and potatoes of the SRO program to see what does this do for us, what is this doing for our school. Because I know when I first got on, I asked a simple question. When a kid gets arrested at school, whose responsibility is that child at that point? No one was able to give me an answer at that time from the district or from the police department. And I don't know if I didn't ask the right people or whatever. I didn't get an answer. That's a problem. That was a problem for me. And so by us bringing this up, by us having this conversation, that's why we do this. Because what I just heard from some of the changes that you're making, some of the new initiatives, the more the collaborations, a lot of the communication things, those are huge, huge, and much, much appreciated changes to this program that definitely starts us off on the right track. And so I'm going to stop right now for that to let everybody else speak, but I still have some questions. But I did want to get that in, that this is why we had the conversation, so everybody's voice can be heard, and we can make the necessary changes for our program.
Anyone else, questions,
We
comments?
were going to open it up to the
Public
community.
Oh, to the public first. So, okay, so we can do that now. Well, if anybody would like to speak on this program, you certainly are welcome to do that. I do need for you to fill out a public comment card either before or after you speak, whichever. Do I see people wanting to speak? Yes, no? Okay. So if you would give us your name, address, and then Lynn will be timing you for your 3 minutes. No, sir, 3 minutes. Darn it. So go ahead, come on up. Yes.
I'm speaking as a parent. My son was at Central High School. I've had 3 sons go through. One still has a year to go. But my son was at school the year before they had an RSO, and he was held at knife point in the locker room simply because he was being bullied, and we had just tell him to stop it. Their response, there were 2 boys, held him at knife point. I was relieved to know that there was going to be an RSO the next year because I didn't have to worry. I had 2 other sons coming up, and I'm thankful that they're there. And what I've seen tonight just adds to my feeling that this is the right thing to do. This is the right place to put our money. I wish it was a safer world, but it's not. And with the RSOs, I love hearing that they're saving kids from getting into further trouble. That's great. And the new things that they're trying, just the cherry on top. So I just want to thank the RSOs, and I hope that nobody has to have the call that I had to have that day. And my other 2 sons have been very safe. I noticed a change in the environment. When I used to drive by, I could see money being exchanged across the street. I could see guys pushing on the girls, and they didn't really want it. I haven't seen that. There was an atmosphere when I walked before. People were they would tromp all over me. I went there the other day. Door was open for me. He was very polite. There's a difference. There's a difference, and I just really appreciate it.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing.
Name and address, please.
And could you give your name?
Sure.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm Deborah Medlin,
Okay.
And I'm a parent from, my 3 sons have gone to Central High School, and
Excellent.
I speak as a mother.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we make sure you get a comment card from you, if you would, please? Steph? Orlando, could you get Ms. Medlin a comment card? Thank you.
So I don't have 20 minutes. Huh?
No, sir, you got 3.
Terry Townsend. Good evening. I want to thank the board for your public service, staff, and Joe Taxpayer and the police.
Joe Taxpayer.
I've had several surgeries, so I've been missing in action, but I'm back. I was a housing commissioner for 10 years. I'm also a recipient of the 1968 Dr. Martin Luther King Scholarship, awarded by this school. First, I want to review the numbers. According to the Illinois Department of Corrections, can you all hear me?
If you could speak a little louder, please.
Get you a different one.
Battery went out. Battery went out?
Here we go.
Well, I got it. Cheeky thing.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay. According to the Illinois Department of Corrections, adults incarcerated in prison as of 1/30/2012, 27,527 were black, 14,257 were white, 6,321 were Hispanic, 161 was Asian, 64 was Indian. Now, if you look at those numbers and then look at some of your own numbers, 2011, the school year 2011 through 2012, 41 arrests, 37 African Americans. 2012, 2013, 34 arrests, 26 African Americans. 2013, 2014, 21 arrests, 19 African Americans were African American. Ladies and gentlemen, something's wrong. What we're doing here is creating programs that do one thing beyond question. It arrests the fear of crime, and the police are very good at that. But unfortunately, there's a segment of the community that is being criminalized. The evidence is compelling. The evidence is compelling. Our kids are not miniature adults. They have developmental issues, they have all relationship issues, and those are the kind of things that social workers and educators are trained to deal with. I would submit to you that this program should not be discontinued. It should be reduced. And you should think of a system to deal with this. It was noted a few minutes ago, and I've known this for some time. There's not any evaluation going on. So you didn't give me my warning. She told me to stop, so I have to stop. I didn't get my warning.
Oh, wait, 30 seconds. Go, go. Sorry, grabbed the wrong card.
First, no warning, and then the microphone. I should go home. Where was I? The resource programs in other states, we've looked at, we've evaluated them, and we know that some of them have been extremely problematic. Police need snitches to do their jobs effectively. You need to ask yourself the question, is a school, should it be a training ground for snitches? That is what's happening. That's what we think. Fear of crime, some of these other things, they're doing a real good job. I want you to consider this. Piecemeal initiatives will not work. That's my stop button.
Thank you very much,
All
Mr.
right,
Townsend.
all right.
Anyone else wish to speak?
It does work.
Question first. The principals that read, were they part of the presentation or were they reading separately as part of the input?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
The letters that were read by the principals and at the schools, was that part of the presentation? Were they given 3 minutes, or was that part of the presentation?
That was part of the presentation.
Because it wasn't a part of the committee presentation. It must have been done later. My name is Eldris Melinda Carr. I am the president of the Minister Alliance of Champaign-Urbana and vicinity, of which we were invited to participate as part of the SRO committee. one of our members was on the committee. He became ill, so I attended a few of the last meetings, and I only have 3 minutes, which I feel is not just, because I have some concerns, which I did send my concerns to the board by email, and I didn't feel the process was just. The process of the SRO committee, there are things that did not get covered and should have been. One thing was the parents were not surveyed, and I think that was a critical part of the process that should have been done. The committee was meeting for a year, so there should have been time to do that. Another item is that I stepped outside of the process, and the Ministerial Alliance had a parent forum on May 3rd, because I felt it was really important for the parents to know their rights, because nobody was seeming to pay attention to that. The rights of their parent, the students, and the right of the parents, and what was going on with the standard operating procedures, and what happens when a student, the question that you asked, Jamar, what happens when a student is arrested? Is a parent notified? What happens? Is a parent required to be notified? And if they're not at home, what happens? And the interaction that happens at school with an SRO officer, and in the procedure, it talks about informal consultation. And that was one thing we talked about at the forum, that the parent should have a right not to have their child interact with an SRO and be questioned if it's not necessary. And so one area we talked about was a forum. Would the board consider a forum? I know there's going to be a meeting on June 30th, but a forum that could be developed even when the vote is taken on June 30th. This can be taken up after that. But there's concern in the community because of the past of the Champaign County, or the Champaign Police Force. We have the Keenewan Carrington situation. We had the Douglas Park situation. So just like the University of Illinois has their own security department, they wanted their kids protected because they wanted their futures protected. We're saying the same thing. We want our kids' future protected. And what came out in the News Gazette article was that we saw the number of arrests, but we don't know. And I asked Jamar that what happened. What are the number of criminal arrests? What happened is the outcome. Did anyone get a felony? We don't see that. So we have questions, and we would like those to be answered. I don't have time to go into the other items because I've told I have to stop, and I still feel it's not just because I don't feel like we've gotten a chance to answer some of the questions that we have out in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak before? Yes, sir. And for those that spoke and have not filled out comment cards, I really need for you, if you would please, fill it out. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Lamont Holden, Edison. I live at 1056 Pomona Drive. I'm a teacher at Edison Middle School, reading teacher, 8th grade. Just a couple points. One, I want to say that I support SROs in our school. One thing that I constantly have to remind not only myself and my colleagues, also students and parents, is that our first responsibility at school is not to educate, but to keep kids safe. During my time in Unit 4, I've had interactions with Officer Dominguez, Westfield, and Wills, who I found to be very effective, competent at their jobs. We've been told as teachers not to break up fights, and so I often wonder, if you have I've seen some fights, and we've had some situations where there have been weapons, things like that, and I wonder, okay, how long do I have to wait for an officer to come if we don't have an officer in the building for something to be done about that? We also had an incident at our promotion the other day. Usually we have an officer at our promotion who helps with traffic outside during parking. Obviously, Officer Westfield was on medical leave, and so that was up to our hall monitor, and somebody attempted to hit our hall monitor with their car. administration responsibility. Somebody talked about certain things should be taken up by the administration as opposed to the officers. And I'll say this, it's about criminal investigation. And this is not about arrests, despite what the opinion may be. This is about criminal investigation, okay? And perhaps an administrator may not have the training to conduct or the time to conduct a criminal investigation. One time I was in my neighborhood and I saw Officer Dominguez walking, and I was kind of curious as to what she was doing. I said, hey, what's going on? She said, well, there have been some reports of fights between students at Franklin and Jefferson. It made me feel really good to see her out there breaking that stuff up, because first of all, you know, I'm a citizen and a parent first. I don't know what my capacity is when I see students in my own neighborhood fighting. You know, I'm not working anymore, so, you know, I almost don't know what to say. But, you know, for her to be proactive and getting that taken care of, that made me feel very good. And lastly, I'll say this. Many of us in this room have students who are at Unit 4 school. So I'd ask you this. If we were to experience a major crisis, would you rather or rather not have an SRO in the building with the full authority to do what need to be done to stop that crisis? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Liz Rotrammel, and I have been a teacher with Champaign Unit 4 for 14 years. During those 14 years, I've worked both at the high school and the middle school level, and obviously I've been there from before the SRO program started and now after, and I'm here to tell you that the program makes a world of difference. Hopefully the anecdotal evidence that the principals and the teachers are presenting will add to the data that was shown to help you guide you in your decision. Officer Westfield at Edison is doing a great job building positive relationships with students. He's worked with the social studies department to do presentations for all of, at least I know my 7th graders, on bullying, especially on cyberbullying, which is a huge topic leading to lots of violent acts. And I think that by being proactive instead of reactive, it's been a great thing. This year with his medical leave, I would say that I have noticed a difference in the building. There's not that calm that was there before. The climate just seemed a little bit interrupted. I think that when he is there, obviously it's very clear, and I would hope that we would see those numbers continue to move in a positive direction with the continuation of this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, all good feedback. More board comments? Questions? Len?
Well, we had the slides up here, but there's a counter narrative that I'd like to make sure that we keep in mind as we discuss this, and I think Officer Daniels knows where I'm going. We've discussed this before. We talk about how things were in 2005 and 2006, and I'm going to remind everyone in the room that we started working with Nurtured Heart and PBIS in those years. It was not in every school. It was not at every grade, but we did start rolling it out. So I think that's one impact that you see throughout the years in those numbers as it's grown in schools, as it's grown under the number of students who've experienced this approach to their behavior. Secondly, I do appreciate the fact that the police department has gone back through the reports and looked at the actual number of calls for service versus actual reports generated. I do hope that it will continue for the next couple of years so that we can continue with a pure apples to apples comparison in the future. I do hope also that the News Gazette will modify their website to show the change in how reports were generated. That was significantly absent from the front page of Sunday's paper. And I am concerned, though, to hear that arrest data mirrors suspension data for the district. The district has been aware for many years about the disparities evident within suspension data. We are looking at why this is occurring, what can we do to fix this, and what can we do to help our children become better students and better citizens. So, bad behavior will get you arrested, I get that, but when you've got a significant disparity in what students are getting arrested, we need to step back and look at that. That's a concern. I am glad to learn that in the future we will have complaint forms available at the schools, and I'm also glad to hear that the district will take a more active role in the evaluation of officers. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Christine.
I just wanted to comment that I think the SRO program has been a big, well, I don't know, an asset to our district. Maybe it is too much, but I think it has been a really great program for us to have. I'm sure we've all been inundated with people calling us this past week and talking with us about this issue. And I've only had people talk with me positively about this week. Now, I will admit that most everyone who talked with me looks just like me. And there are people who don't look just like me who have concerns. We've heard from them. And I do hope that as we move forward with this program, we do look at what those concerns are and how we can address them and make sure that this is a program that most everyone is comfortable with. And I think that's really important because this is really very much a community program. It's a partnership with our city. But I have talked with the kids over the years, their friends, about this, and overwhelmingly the kids are happy that there are the SROs in the schools. They feel safer. They feel like they take a burden off of them. And I think that's really important because the kids need to be there to focus on learning. And anything we can do to make them feel safer and absolutely be safer is important. So, Orlando, you talked about how we're going to, work on this review process. I really hope it does. We do look at everyone's concerns and how we can make sure that this program is even more effective.
Karis.
So I want to thank everyone in the committee, too, for focusing on this issue. I think it is important for us to evaluate, when I said issue, program, rather. I think it's important to evaluate programs, and anything that we do, anything worth doing is worth measuring. So I have to say that I am more interested to hear about some of the new evaluations. I thought always with this program that certain metrics weren't in place for us to to make a decision on whether to go with the program or without, and that was something that was important for me because we needed to evaluate the success of the program. So I'm more interested and excited to hear that some provisions are being made to make sure that we can properly evaluate the program. I do agree that hearing from the community too that this program seems to be accepted well with the community, and I think that we should continue forward with that. However, I do think, as you expressed, and I really want to focus on this, the kids that are not well accepting the program, we definitely need to squash that out. It may be one kid too many. But I'm generally interested in hearing more about that evaluation process.
Thank you, Karis. All right, Jamar, so before you start, I'm going to have a few comments.
I don't have that much anymore.
So I have some questions and then just some thoughts as I read the report, and specifically the memo that came from Dorothy David. So, we've had a lot of questions. Do we have an FAQ sheet as it relates to SROs? So what happens if I have a complaint? Who do I talk to? Where do I go to? Where do I find the form? I think that's really an easy thing just to knock it off the list.
We do. It is in the back of the Student Code of Conduct, which is sent out to every family in the district.
Okay. And so is that also a place where the complaint form should go?
It would be a way to get it out to every family as opposed to having it on site.
Right. I think, for me personally, I think that's a lot better place to put it than in the schools because it puts it in the hands of those that may not have access for transportation to get to the school or whatever. Just a thought. What I heard, and I forget who I heard this from, is that it's an option for the SROs to be in the classroom, that the teachers must invite them in. Does it not make sense to have more of an auditorium or a larger presentation to the school as we're starting our school year with the SROs, and I'm your SRO officer. These are the things that, you know, I handle, whatever. I mean, do we do that, or are we looking at individual?
I am certainly not opposed. I would probably defer to one of the building principals. I know that time is of essence, and pulling a group of students to do assemblies or making it mandatory for teachers to have SROs in their classrooms could be problematic. So I think having it as an option, or for teachers to invite the SRO in, is probably the best way to go. I'm certainly not opposed to having the assemblies, but I would defer to one of our building principals to, I guess, discuss the logistics and how they see that playing out at the start of the school year.
Okay. Chief Cobb, I want to thank you for your leadership. I know that a lot of the changes that are happening are due to your presence, and Troy, you as well. I think it's important. Relationships are important. Communication is important. And while we may not always agree how to do it, we need to agree that something could be done. So the review of the officers, I think, has been really important to this board. And what I would like to see is, before the school year starts, is that review happen for all of those officers before we start the new school year. I think that's a reasonable request instead of waiting for a year. We have experience.
So far, just to let you know, our officers are evaluated 4 times each year, 2 formally and 2 informally. I sent a copy of our evaluation form that we used to Orlando today to make sure that you guys could get it, so you could take a look at it. We certainly welcome any input from the school district in any way that you would like to give input on it. We welcome that. We will say that we've taken building administrators' comments into the evaluations that we've given over the last 8 years to our SROs. In reality, the vast majority of the comments that have come from building administrators and teachers and students and parents have been positive, have been almost no comments. There are very, very, very few comments that are negative that have come from. But we welcome any evaluation that you want to put together for our school resource officers.
I'm sorry, am I misunderstanding something? Is that not something you're talking about happening?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the things that we are talking about, is a way that we can formally seek more input from the district, and we welcome that. One thing I guess I would ask, at our department, whenever we have our complaint form, we also have a commendation form put in the same location so that the public can give their accommodations, the good things that officers do, in the same location. And what we have found is that there's a lot more accommodations that come in than complaints.
That is important, Troy. You're absolutely right. So we talk about the SRO program involving 5 officers. Okay. Help me to understand. We pay for 2. The city pays for 3. We've had 4. We've had Edison has been, as Ms. Rotrammel has talked about, the difference in the building. So when we have someone that is missing from a school, what is the plan to put someone in that school? What's the backup plan, Troy?
Right. The backup plan is, fortunately, in 8 years, this is the first time that this long-term injury occurred. This injury actually occurred when the SRO was responding to a suspicious person near a school, and actually responded to that, and he got hurt during that arrest. Unfortunately, sometimes police officers get hurt and we have to go without them during that time. If we could have replaced the officer at any time, we certainly would have. Our department is experiencing unprecedented levels of officers being injured and absent for a number of reasons. If we felt like we could have, we certainly would have. Like I said before, I tried to lay out all the things that we're doing for Unit 4. We believe the safety of the students is imperative. This year was an extremely challenging year for our department, but we would do our very best to, if this for some reason continued in the next year, we would do our very best to replace Officer Westfield if for some reason Officer Westfield was not able to come back to duty in the fall.
Okay, so let me ask, hang on.
Okay.
So is there no method to training someone so that they have the ability to step in when an officer is not able to fulfill his duties? So if school safety is paramount for our students, how are we not having a replacement for someone in the school building? That's my question. I'd like to know what the plan is to make sure that we have that person.
Right. Right now we have a number of officers who are teaching at the elementary school level. They've gone through certified juvenile programming, so we're already getting them exposed to teaching our youth. They've been doing it for several years now. To get them ready, they are very interested in becoming the next SRO. So we have a plan in place on how to get them there. Our situation this year was that our manpower was so short on our streets that we were not able to take a person and put them into the schools to replace Officer Westfield. If for some reason this continues into the next year, we'll have to see where our manpower is. We will do our best. Chief Cobb has said we will do our best to try to replace SRO Westfield to make sure that you guys have five officers.
Okay. Thank you. So explain to me, again, I'm going off of the city manager's comments. She makes a comment that police departmental responsibilities of the SRO will include provide law-related counseling on a limited basis to students, staff, and faculty. What does that look like? So is that when the teacher invites the SRO in, or?
Yeah, there are students that, so we can be law enforcement officers. Certainly that's pretty easy to understand.
Right.
We do law enforcement teaching, and then we do basically law enforcement counseling. I mean, there are times that students are having struggles with their parents. They may be struggling with someone who is bullying them or harassing them. They need to be counseled. They need to figure out how to get through the situation. So our SROs are there to give them advice, tell them what they can do, where they can go, where they can lean. I guess an example of this would be even with staff members. One of the teachers was going through a divorce, was frightened for her safety during that time, basically asked for counseling from the SRO. Hey, what do I do? Where do I go to get help? Where do I go to stay safe? That would be kind of an example of the law enforcement related counseling.
Okay, thank you. So when a parent, my last question. So when a parent has a concern about an SRO, what is the process? Because it has come to my attention that when asked to speak to a PTSA about an SRO officer, they were denied by the principal. And so help me to understand what the process would be.
There's a number of ways to give a concern about an SRO to the police staff, the command staff. One way would be through your principal. Principal will know how to reach us. The other way would be to reach out to us directly through our relations department, through our city relations department, through our police department, to the front desk, our command officers, the SRO command officers, investigations command. There's a number of ways to get information to us, and we will talk to anyone that's got a concern about the behavior or a question about some action that our SRO was involved in.
But so for Dr. Wiegand, for the principals, I mean, so they are obligated to speak to some, if they have a complaint against an SRO officer?
They are obligated then to share that with that SRO supervisor.
Okay, that's my last question. Thank you.
I had a question.
Ileana.
Quick question. It was my understanding that Edison or one of the schools was sharing an SRO with Edison. Is that not the case?
Officer Wills, SRO Wills from Franklin will come over often to Edison when needed. The SROs help each other out if they're out on vacation or in training. They'll try to cover for each other. So, but I think what most people are referring to today is an officer that's there all the time, and that's been absent since Officer Westfield's been out.
So it's just like as needed. So what does that mean? Like when you have like a particular incident that happens, the officer will go over there.
Yes, an SRO officer can go over there, or a regular police officer can go over there and respond to it. But we try to have an SRO respond whenever we possibly can.
Okay.
Don't sit down. Don't sit down. So first I'll start with just a few questions. Well, first I'll say that I'm really enjoying the conversation. I really like to really dig into tough conversations. I particularly enjoy tough conversations in our district, not because I like tough conversations, but because it's one of the few times as an elected official you actually get to hear both sides of a story. You actually get to hear from the constituents, the people that actually voted you in, because the high school is another one. We get phone calls all the time. We get emails all the time. SRO, we get phone calls, emails. We're all over the radio. We're all over the newspaper. We're all on TV. And so I enjoy that because it's one of the few times that you get to truly do your job by listening to your constituents, and they come to you and say, this is what I want. So I enjoy this conversation for that piece. So just clarification questions. We say that we arrest students. Can you tell us what does an arrest mean?
An arrest, how we define it, is an SRO taking a student in physical custody and transporting him or her to the juvenile detention center.
Okay, to the juvenile. So that takes me to my next question. So if it's only the juvenile justice system, so if the child was transferred to the youth assessment center, is that not considered an arrest?
We're not considering that arrest because our goal in getting the juvenile to the youth assessment center is wrap that student and his or her parents in services to keep them from reoffending and try to make sure that they don't commit further crimes.
Okay, so then you just added another question. So my own understanding, that somebody told me, I just assumed, arrest meant child walks out of the school in handcuffs. That's how I took that. And so in saying that, I know that this year we've utilized the Youth Assessment Center, we've utilized station adjustment. And so my question was going to be, how many of those arrests resulted in the kids going to Youth Assessment Center, station adjustment? But what you just told me that all 21 arrests went to the Youth Detention Center.
That's correct.
Okay,
and in reality, looking at that data even further today, that number is probably 18 that went to the juvenile detention center.
So that means more students walked out of our schools with handcuffs, but some of them went to the Youth Assessment Center then.
I don't know how many of them exited the school in handcuffs. What I can say is the ultimate decision to charge them and try to get them charged with a crime did not occur if they did not go to the juvenile detention center. If they went to Youth Assessment Center, the goal was to divert them from the criminal justice system.
Yeah,
that's our goal.
Okay, so I wanted to hear, okay, if the child gets to the Youth Detention Center and they deny them from the point system, is that still considered an arrest?
If we are taking them to the juvenile detention center, we classify that as an arrest.
Okay, okay. So then, out of the 21 arrests, what happened that went to youth detention? So that changes a little bit of how I thought coming in here. So now we have 21 actual cases of kids in front of judges.
Right.
What is the data on that?
I don't know what the data is. We would have to take each one of those cases and we would have to see how many actually received charges, how many were diverted even at that time. A child can be diverted even once they've gone to the juvenile detention center. That's up to the state's attorney's office. So I don't know what happened to those 21.
Okay. Can we get that data for like the last 3 years at least or something? Just to see, because like I said, it really took it different because I just knew they were going to Youth Assessment Center and they were going about their happy way.
We can certainly look at any data that we can, depending on how much time it takes and how much man hours it takes to look over the data, without question, we can.
What specifically are you looking for, Jamar, just so we can
Well,
have some places
because the next question is one of the,
Right, how many actually?
how many are
with
being
some sort
charged?
of penalty?
And with penalties, how many are going, is there jail time, is there probation time, is there a felony coming out of this? Although you said that they're minor, so it goes away, but it's still a felony. So I guess my question, what are the charges that our kids are being arrested for? Why are they being arrested now and being charged? Is it fight? Is it drugs? Is it weapons? Do we have that breakdown?
We can certainly get that data. We don't have, I don't have access to that data right now.
I think that's
Predominantly, we're looking at crimes of violence or a weapon or a large amount of drugs or drugs for sale, typically.
So, yeah, so I would like to see the breakdown of that data given and also put to the public so we can see that data of what it actually, because I said it just changed everything, Troy, for me. And so actually that's felonies, didn't know about that. So I also attended the,
Okay. I'm being told that batteries, drugs, and weapons offenses are the top 3 every year.
battery,
For
drugs,
arrests.
and
Yep.
weapons. Now when we say.
But I don't know how many, what charges were laid, what ended up happening as far as probation or diversion or even prison. Not sure.
Yes. So I definitely like that breakdown. And then battery, is that 2 kids mutually fighting? Is that staff battery? Is that mob action battery?
Typically not. Typically multiple suspects on one victim, a clear attack, a serious injury, mob action, weapon, large amount of drugs that appear for sale, typically.
Okay. So yeah, so just that, and then also just the number of students that are actually being diverted to Youth Assessment Center, since that's a different number now. I would like to see that number as well, or a station adjustment, so we know how many kids we actually are diverting from our district. The second piece of that, I think that's all my questions.
Okay.
I think. The second piece of that is I also attended the forum that was held by the Ministerial Alliance back in May, and I just also wanted to hear the parent concern and just hear what parents had to say and how they felt. Because like I said, with these type of topics, you don't get much of that. Although over the years, I've heard many stories of SRO incidents and things that have happened since I've been on the board. I've heard many more. The problem is that by the time I hear about them, they're so far removed from the situation. So it's a year later, it's 2 years later, and this is parents, students, and also, I've even heard stories from staff members in our schools. And like I said, they're years removed. And so the numbers do show that kids aren't being arrested in the large numbers, hundreds, 50, 60. They're not being arrested. The numbers are definitely coming down. And so, and the violence isn't taking place in our school. And so, in that regard, the SRO program does do what it's supposed to do, is keep schools safe. And I don't think anyone at all argues that point at all. But one of the things that came up in the parent forum that was very, very strong, and the things that I saw, I've lived in Champaign my entire life. I grew up in 4th and Hill, spent many times in Douglas Park, spent a lot of time in Garden Hills area. And so I've seen a lot in my short 31 years. And things that happen in the community, as far as police-community relationships, plays a huge role of how individuals see SRO officers in our schools. Because I've said it before, an SRO officer does have lots of training. They have many hours of training and many hours of specialized that other officers aren't getting. But at the end of the day, they are police officers first. And so, as someone that lives in these neighborhoods, when they see negative activity, things that just aren't right, and it definitely happens in our community of officer misconduct, that automatically gets transferred to my thoughts of what's happening to my children inside the school. Because I am a father. I do have a son in the Unit 4 schools, and there are times that I worry about my own child and what his interactions are, because he's a real boy. And I say through and through, my son is a real boy. And so one of these days he could come up in contact and face-to-face with one of our SRO officers. And so I do remember what it looks like to live in those areas where not everybody is treated equally and not everybody is treated fairly in our community. And, you know, so I said I've lived on the North End, I've lived in Devonshire community, I now live far west Champaign. And so I'm able to see how interactions happen all over our community. And so it's not just, again, not just segments of our community. And so I think that's where a lot of the perception comes from. And although the numbers show that our numbers aren't big, we're not arresting kids and throwing the book at, you know, the majority of our kids, that relationship piece is still something that has to be worked on through the communities. And I think we start with that in the communities, that will transfer over into our schools. And I think that we're definitely on the right track. I heard a lot of new communication tools that are helping that, because a person's perception is their reality. And as a kid, we saw some kids that strongly disagree with that I can freely talk to SRO officers. Well, I like to hear that we're going more. Why? They may live in some of these communities that there is some misconduct, the things that they don't like. And we talk about complaints. I know one of the concerns that I've heard is that, well, we're not getting complaints about police officers. We're not getting complaints about the SRO officers, which is true. There's no official complaints. But I recall my time on the Champaign Human Relations Commission, and most of my time was spent dealing with police issues. And I remember one year there was like 65,000 calls of service. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was like less than 100. It may have been, I don't want you to call it, but it was less than 100, maybe less than 50 complaints out of 65,000 calls of service. That's an excellent record. And every Fortune 500 company in America should be calling our police department to figure out how do we get that great of service on all of our products, because that's a good turnaround. But in reality, it's not so much that there aren't complaints to be made, is that people are intimidated by the process to make those complaints. And it isn't unwarranted fear. And so as we continue this process, and I think the same thing happens with our schools, it's not the numbers now, it's not the process now, it's not the policy now, because everybody lives under the same policy, everybody lives under the same code of conduct, but not everybody lives by the same practice. And that's where my concerns about the SRO program comes in place, is the practice, not the policy. I'm glad to see the policy changes because it makes room, it makes lots of room and more, it's easier to change the practice when you change the policy. But it's not the policy, because everybody lives under that. And I know as a general rule of thumb, it's usually said, well, we followed everything in the policy. We were in line within policy, which is true. But again, the practice is what's not being, that's not consistent throughout. And so that's what I would like to see addressed. That's what I would like to see changed. And just because there's no formal complaints, by something continue to be brought up over and over and over and over, year after year after year after year, that tells me something's going on. It tells me something is there, something's moving, something's shaking. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And we shouldn't ignore it because the policy says there was no official complaints. And so I definitely think that we're on the right track of moving that way. So with all of that said, of how I wholeheartedly feel about the program, I do like to see the movement that we're moving in direction under the leadership. Gallo, you've been around since the beginning, and so you've definitely been very instrumental in this as well. So we don't want to leave you out as well. But I do want to see, as a district, I do want to see how we said that our principals take more of a role, not so much to do the investigation part, but to do the initial part of it. And because I have 10,000 students, we all have 10,000 students. Those are our first concerns: their safety, their concerns, their families, and we have to answer to those 10,000 families. And so, if something happens in our school, telling a parent that we don't know, or, hey, that was out of our control, that's usually not a good answer. And so I think with us working together as with this partnership moving forward, it would help us gain better control over, one, the clarity of the program, how it's designed, why it's designed, and who it's designed to help, and having all of the stakeholders involved take a more stronger, active role, and our administrators really take control of their buildings. I think that we could have something good. I really think that we could have something good.
May I respond?
That's on you.
Just want to let you guys know that we recognize that we can always improve any program. We have been a partner to Unit 4 for 8 years. We have been in front of the Human Relations Commission every year. We've given you a report with our data for every year. We believe we want to learn in every way that we can a way to divert a youth, wrap services around that youth and the parents, and make sure that that youth is taken care of. I am very proud of the officers of the Champaign Police Department and the school resource officers that are in there. I have heard many, countless comments from teachers, administrators, parents, and students about the atmosphere that they help bring with the help of the district to the community. I would encourage you to look at the Silent Voices report that was filled out by the truancy people at Unit 4 School District when there was an upsurge in gang activity in Champaign. We reached out to Unit 4. Unit 4, like always, was a good partner. We did our best to identify students who were struggling with truancy that were somewhat connected to gangs and trying to find a way to give them the services that they needed. This was several years ago. Orlando Thomas helped us with this. And interviewing those students, one of the things that they found out, those students asked for more police officers in their neighborhoods to keep their neighborhoods safer. And that came from the students who were the most at risk, that had the most problems in Unit 4 schools, who had the most problems with truancy. And it's because officers keep neighborhoods safer, officers keep schools safer, and quite frankly, students want their school safe. They don't want anyone messing with them when they're in school. And so we welcome more evaluation, we welcome more communication, we welcome more collaboration, but we are very proud of the results that we've had so far, and we enjoy broad support throughout the community for that, for what we brought to school.
And
Thank you,
don't one thing. So yeah, I do agree, and I don't think anybody discounts the amount of value that they do bring to the school, but it's a work in progress. So the one question that I do want to address that was brought up at that parent meeting, and I don't know if we've got an answer for it. In our community, there's still people who have concerns about how students interact with SRO officers. So what is the ramification if a student is in whatever, they've done something, they know something, they're in the principal's office, dean's office, SRO officer comes in to question. Is that student obligated to talk to that SRO officer?
No, the student is never obligated to talk to an SRO officer. They have their constitutional rights like any other citizen in the country. They are never obligated to talk to an SRO officer.
Are they told this? That you
they are told this.
And so that's written that every child knows at the beginning of the conversation, you don't have to speak to us.
We make sure that as we're interacting with a student, when they're dealing with a criminal issue, they know that they do not have to speak with us unless they choose to.
See, and several administrators out there shaking their heads that you're present during that time as well and hear that. Correct.
Okay. And if they choose not to, what's the process from there?
If they choose not to, the SRO is out of that situation. It may become a school discipline situation where an administrator is handling it. Now, if the SRO, if it's a criminal situation and there's probable cause to make an arrest, the SRO may choose to make an arrest if there's not going to be any communication based on what's in front of them.
Okay.
I think that we certainly recognize there's always room for improvement, and I say that with all sincerity, that there is always room for improvement. I will say that most of us would be very thankful to have the evaluation and the survey on our own, on how people feel about our own work product that the SROs have gotten here recently that the district put out. So yes, I do recognize there's room for improvement, but I'm just very pleased with what I've seen so far, and I'm proud of the work that the SROs have done.
Yeah, and just the last thing.
You said last
No,
thing
no,
like
just
3
the last thing,
times.
but no, I just want to make it very clear to people, to the public, that are definitely very much in support of this. I know we've asked a lot of questions and we've grilled a lot, and we've really dug into this. Questioning isn't always negative. You know, just because we question something doesn't mean that we're trying to bash anyone, bash any program, or decrease the value of a program. But there's always things that need to be had. We have a duty to do to our constituents. And so I don't want anyone feeling away like, well, those guys just really gave it to them, because that's just not the case. And had we not questioned, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. And these changes that are very positive for everyone would not have happened, or definitely probably would not have happened this early on, without some movement and without some uneasiness in years prior.
Great, Jamar, thank you very
That was
much.
the last thing.
I'm going to wrap this up. One of the comments you made, Jamar, that I want to make sure that people hear is that the board is not the place to complain, right? So to use the board as the person that reports somebody's level of distrust or whatever with an SRO, there is a process. And so to use a board member to come out and publicly say that is not the right way to do that. So we want to make sure that we give an opportunity for our people to complain or to voice their concerns in the right way. I think that's important. I want to thank all of you for coming out and sharing, and it's not just about our students, it's about safety for our staff. In the closed sessions that we have with discipline issues, you guys are faced with a lot of really challenging issues, and you do fabulous work. And we want to make sure that we support you as well through the SRO program. I think there's always opportunity for growth and for improvement, and you guys have stepped up to the plate to show that we all are going to be able to do that together, and I thank you. Okay? Thank you.
Everybody don't leave all at once now. We got more.
Okay, we have a request to go to 10L, approval of Kenwood renovation and addition general contractor bid. Matt Foster. We're jumping right to you, man. L.
Ken, show us later. Just wait.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, right?
Good morning, that's right. Oh, make sure I get the right one here. Yep, approval of Kenwood renovation, okay. Approval of Kenwood renovation addition general contractor bid. Board policy states that bids will be solicited when items are expected to exceed a total of $25,000. Invitations to bid were posted on the district's website and advertised in the News Gazette. Bids were received from 3 companies which were opened on May 22nd, 2014. Administration recommends that the bid for the general contractor for the Kenwood renovation and addition project be awarded to Core Construction for a base bid of $4,340,000, plus alternate 1, which is the south parking lot, for $71,000, and alternate 4, which is Netput charging stations, for $10,000. We do have representatives from Core as well as Stuart Brodsky, and I think anybody, Omar as well from Bailey Edwards, if they'd like to come up and kind of give a summary of the project to date.
First of all, thank you for moving this up on the agenda. We
Yeah,
appreciate
and
that.
you know so much about our SRO program now. So you are informed.
All of it's been fascinating, actually, tonight. And I mean that in a good way. So tonight we're here to briefly present the results of the bid and just say this is the conclusion of 9 months of work, or maybe even as close to 10 months of work. A lot of hard work to take the conceptual design and hone it and focus it so that we can bring it to you as a building solution that brings the greatest value to the district and get you what you want and what you need to have in the building. We're really happy with the results, that we believe it's a successful process, shepherded by Omar and the team, resulting in a tight spread of bids amongst 3 bidders, coming in under budget by upwards of 81,000, more than 81,000, which were the two alternates that were selected, and remaining just under budget. So a successful project, a great contractor that's met all the requirements of the bid, and Omar's going to go through that in more detail, and I'll let him do that at this point.
Thank you, Stuart, as well. I just wanted to touch base on what the process after the bids on May 22nd. As Stuart mentioned, there were 3 contractors that submitted bids, and the bids range from $4.3 million is the low bid to approximately $4.5 million is the high bid. So they were very close. We were very pleased with the outcome. And as to do our due diligence, we reviewed, we asked Core Construction and the second low bidder to submit qualification statements to us, where we reviewed certain items such as letters of references, audited financial statements of the companies, in addition to items, a project schedule, how they anticipate to complete the project, and some letters of references from past clients. And we reviewed that. We presented that to Arlene Vespa and Matt Foster, and we also vetted that information in-house here, and we feel that Core Construction met all the requirements, so we are providing a recommendation with Core Construction to proceed.
So this is an action item. Okay, so I need a motion.
So move.
Second. Brown and Savely. Questions, comments?
Quick question. Mark, you said Core was the second lowest bidder.
No, Core was the lowest
The
bidder.
lowest bidder.
Yes,
Okay.
there was
I
the
thought you
second
said
lowest
second.
bidder. Sorry. Yes, the second lowest bidder was Grunlow Construction.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they were second.
Any other questions, comments? No, we're ready for, we can still vote. Okay, sorry. Go. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
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 And it passes 6-0, all right. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to a beautiful school. So when will it be done?
The anticipated completion date is September 1, 2015.
Okay, looking forward to that date.
Could then I ask, because Matt is still here, I think he's interested in the project labor agreement.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging out with us this evening. Okay, we're going to go backwards to K, project labor agreement, if we could, please. You've been such a good sport back there, Matt.
Bring it out.
He's been here all night.
In 2009, the Board of Education approved a project labor agreement between East Central Illinois Building and Construction Trades Council and the Champaign Community Unit School District Number 4. This agreement has proven to be highly effective in both procuring quality contractors and generating projects on budget and on time. Administration therefore believes that it is in the best interest of the school district to renew this agreement for a 3-year period beginning July 1st, 2014 and ending June 30th, 2017.
I need a motion.
Second.
Shalafu and Lee. Questions, comments? Tammy, please take the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Passes 6-0. Thank you very much, Matt. Mr. Langendorf, thank you very much for your service. Now we're going to jump back up to 10A,
Keep us on our toes.
2014-15 Code of Conduct. Mr. Thomas.
Good evening again. At the last meeting, we brought forth the recommended changes to the code. I think it was requested that you see the changes in the actual code of conduct, and we did send that electronically. The changes are highlighted in yellow, and so tonight we will be asking for approval of the 2014-15 code of conduct with the recommended changes.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved. Second.
Stuckey and Savely, questions or comments? Tammy, please call the roll.
Ms. Stuckey? Yes. Ms. Savely? Yes. Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Shelton?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Thank you very much, Orlando. Next item, administrative compensation. Mr. Kleber.
Good evening again. The superintendent is recommending a 3% salary increase for all eligible administrators to be implemented according to Board Policy 520.09. The effective date of the increase would be July 1, 2014. This increase mirrors the percentage increase for certified teachers. Administrative pay increases are needed to remain regionally competitive and to acknowledge the hard work and challenges of working in a large, diverse school district. I believe you have the list of eligible administrators. Additionally, entry-level salaries for all administrative positions will be adjusted according to established district practice to reflect the change, and newly hired administrators affected by these changes will have their salaries adjusted accordingly. And we are recommending approval of the raises.
I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Brown and Shalafu. Questions, comments? Len.
I sent out a question in email, and I got my response back. The salaries that we're being asked to vote on tonight include the cell phone reimbursement that we discussed several months ago. At that time, I was not pleased with this. I felt that the reimbursement should have been lowered. It should not have been folded into salaries. And because tonight I'm now being asked to give a 3% raise on that reimbursement as part of the salary, unfortunately, I will not be able to vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Tammy, please take the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Shalafu?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
No.
Okay, it passes 5-1. Thank you. Sir, this is a business meeting and it's not public comment. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, compensation for district support personnel. Mr. Kleber.
Salary increases for district support personnel staff, DSP staff, have been tied to the negotiated annual increase for the CESP since 1998. District administration is recommending that salaries for eligible DSP staff be increased by 4.05% for the 14-15 school year. The effective date of that increase would be July 1st. Eligibility is determined using the same guidelines used for administrators, and you have the list of eligible staff members. Entry-level salaries for all DSP positions will also be adjusted according to established district practice to reflect the change, and anyone newly hired will have the salary adjusted accordingly. And we're recommending approval of the increase.
So moved.
Second.
Shalafu and Brown. Questions, comments? Tammy, please take the roll.
Ms. Shalafu?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Stapley?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Next item, CFT additional sick leave request. Mr. Kleber.
Pursuant to the CFT collective bargaining agreement, Article 7, Section C3, the board may, in its sole discretion, at the request of CFT, grant a teacher up to 25 days of sick leave over and above that accumulated by a teacher. 200 cumulative days shall be available. CFT has submitted a number of requests totaling 122.71 days, and you can see the cost of that, and we are recommending approval of the request.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey and Lee. Questions, comments? Roll, please, Tammy.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Shalafu?
Yes.
Ms. Stapley?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Substitute professional development and compensation. Ken Kleber.
All right, I'm really excited about this one, but I will keep it brief because I know the evening has been long. We have had difficulty, like many districts in the area and across the nation, in hiring and retaining quality substitute teachers and teacher aides. And as we do every year, we review salaries for our substitute staff. And one of the things, I've had a number of meetings with substitute staff this year, and a lot of input from building administrators and teachers and various district personnel. And one of the things that stands out is not that our daily rate. I think last year the board made an adjustment to that, and that's adequate. But one of the things I hear a lot of requests for are professional development opportunities to make sure that our substitute staff are equipped and trained to handle many of the issues that they encounter in our classrooms for which they don't have any formal training. And so, and there's a bunch of research that shows that if you tie training to compensation of substitutes, that it's actually highly effective. And so we are asking for approval of a professional development-based compensation plan, in essence. And so I've got commitment from a number of district administrators over the summer, Mr. Thomas, Dr. Degree, Ms. Alanis, a number of building principals, to conduct a variety of workshops for our substitutes to give them some of the skills they need to take our substitute assignments and be successful in those assignments. And so for every workshop a substitute completes, they will get a certificate of completion. For every 2 they get, they will earn an additional $1 per day on top of their regular rate. We will also offer some workshops, not quite as many, but we will have some for our support staff as well, and they will get an increase if they attend those PD sessions. They do not get paid to attend the sessions themselves, but instead will get paid based on attending the sessions, and it will theoretically give them the tools they need to be more successful in the classroom and also allow us to have better trained subs in our classrooms. Additionally, right now we have a minimum work requirement for our substitutes. We divide the year into thirds and have them work a minimum amount of time. What we are looking at is we have high monthly needs, and we are currently paying teachers at the rate of the contractual rate of $32.50 an hour when we don't have substitutes taking our assignments. And we've had particularly difficult month of May, and some other months we've had lots of subs who didn't want to take assignments. The weather was nice for a variety of reasons. And so we believe that by saying any substitute who works 15 total assignments during any month school is in session will get a $50 bonus that month. We will actually encourage subs to take those assignments instead of having to pay teachers $32.50 an hour, which will actually reduce costs to the district. And so that is the proposal in a nutshell, and I'm happy to take any questions.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey and Shalafu. Questions or comments, Lynn?
I have a question, and if you don't have an answer for this right now, I'm fine with that. But when you say every month school is in session, for our year-round schools, they're ending within the next few days, and then they're going to start up roughly around July.
Third week in July.
Okay, around July 20th, roughly. July 15th to 20th. So if a substitute manages to work 15 assignments within either of those periods, would they also qualify for the $50 bonus for those months?
They will. It's going to be probably mathematically close to impossible. They would have to take a number of half-day assignments here and there, and it's not likely. It also probably won't be likely for the month of August. Typically, we have 15 or 16 days, so you'd have to work every day. And then December is real close also. I think we had 19 days this year. So I put that because if future boards or the calendar changes, we would have something established in place, so it's certainly possible, but at this time there are 3 or 4 months where it won't be likely.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that.
Any other questions, comments? All right, Tammy, call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. Ken, thank you very much.
Sure.
Bills and Treasurers Report. Matt Foster.
Total accounts payable by checks by fund for May 2014. You can see the total amount there, $5,508,922.81. Are there any questions?
Yes. All right, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brown and Lee, questions, comments? Tammy, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. Public hearing FY14 budget, Matt Foster.
Okay, in preparation of the final budget for 13-14, the Illinois School Code Article 7 requires that each school district in the state prepare a budget in tentative form and make it conveniently available for public inspection for at least 30 days prior to the board taking action to approve the budget. The district published notices to hold a public hearing on the final budget in the News Gazette on May 1st, 2014. The time for the public hearing is set for June 9th, 2014. The purpose of the public hearing is to allow administration to present the highlights of the 13-14 budget. In this case, it's a budget amendment. After the presentation, the Board of Education may entertain questions or comments from the general public on the budget.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey, Shalafoo, questions, comments? It's awfully late to be having a budget discussion. Just saying.
I'll hit a highlight. That's really what it is. So
And this
once you
is
guys open
opening
the
the
hearing.
hearing.
Yep,
Right.
this
It's
opens the
opening the
hearing for me to
hearing.
talk about it.
Right. All
Correct.
right. Need a motion? I'm sorry.
Just do that.
Tammy, take the roll, please. See, I'm tired.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. Approval of final FY14 budget. Matt Foster.
Okay, I just want to touch the two highlights there. I believe the hearing is open right now, is that correct? So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of touch on two big highlights. At the beginning of the year, we knew that we didn't have the contract settled, and we also knew that we had Title I dollars allocated, but we were only allowed to budget for 85% of those dollars. But we also want to show an expense side to balance those revenues, so that's why we put a contingency amount in there. By having the contingency, generally, during a typical year when we're not doing a negotiation, that allows us just by board resolution to be able to move those dollars to an assigned expense, which is nice. That'll save time in the future, so that's a practice we established this year. But since we had to do an amendment anyways as a result of salaries and benefits being settled from the contracts, we just went ahead and we rolled those into this whole brand-new budget for this year at this point. That's the change. So that really has a nice impact on the bottom line for us. When I brought the amended budget last month, it was at $20,000. When you knock out the $483,000 in contingency, that brings up our I don't know if surplus for the year to. I don't have my slide up right now, so it's hard. But it's like $601,000, I believe, is where we're at. So we're ending much better position than what we had anticipated at the beginning of the year. And the only other adjustment we had to make was to the benefits section as a result of transportation of about $3,000. So those are the two changes from last time. And any questions?
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey and Brown. Questions, comments?
Ms. Bonner, because this is a public hearing, we do need to offer the opportunity for public comment on the budget issue.
Awesome. Do we have any public comment on the budget? Seeing none?
You need then this would be a motion to close the
that's why
public
he's
hearing.
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Brown, Savely. I'm tired. Tammy.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. Subject I.
We're done.
So do we need a motion to accept the amended budget?
Yes, so now
Accept
we
the-
need
the
the motion
budget
to
as
accept the
amended.
Yes.
budget.
So moved.
Second.
Shalafoo Brown.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. Can we do I now?
Believe we're good.
Is that the approval
Resolution
itself?
preparation of,
Oh, yeah, good.
was that,
Resolution of preparation?
yep, Matt.
This is basically the board giving permission for me to go ahead and begin preparation for next year's budget. And it's a process that generally is taken care of in January, and we'll make sure we reestablish that going forward next year.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Brown, Shalafoo. Questions, comments? Tammy, take the roll.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. You know, when we were doing CFT negotiations, this was nothing. Approval of Robeson change order number 8. Matt Foster.
Okay. Would you like to hear the Arlene Vespa speech? No. Arlene Vespa has the authority to approve change orders up to $25,000. After that, she must check with the board president and a designated board member before signing the paperwork, which leads to a change order. That process has been adhered to. At this time, it is necessary for the entire Board of Education to approve the following change orders processed through June 2014. Please note that the total project contingency on this project is $142,200, which leaves the current total at $32,403.74. Administration recommends board approval of the change order for Robeson totaling $20,183.40.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey, Lee. Questions, comments? Tammy, take the roll, please.
Yes.
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 That's it.
So our last consent agenda, the consent agenda, why do I always skip that? Expulsions. Okay, oh, because we went backwards, that's why. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Christine and Safely. Tammy, take the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Okay, thank you. Passes 5 with 1 abstention. And
We have expulsions.
Yeah.
To vote on.
yes,
Okay.
I'm going through doing my checklist, Mr. Blockman. All right. So from our earlier meeting, I have 2 pieces of information I need to read and then the board needs to vote on. It's the recommendation of the Board of Education that student number 550334 should be expelled from Centennial High School for the 2014-15 and 2015-16 school years and should be reassigned to Ready for violating conduct codes number 19, physical confrontation with student, and number 34, weapon-related activities. The student may return to his or her regularly assigned school following the expulsion period. Need a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey and Shalafu.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. It is the recommendation of the Board of Education that student number 510097 should be expelled from Franklin Middle School for the 2014-15 school year and should be reassigned to Ready for violating conduct code number 18, physical confrontation with staff. The student may return to his or her regularly assigned school following the expulsion period. Need a motion?
So moved. Second.
Stuckey and Safely.
Yes.
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 Passes 6-0. With nothing left to come before us, I need a motion to, we haven't adjourned out here in a long time. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Brown, Stuckey, all in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Leave, yeah, okay. I need signatures from everyone. Everyone?